Championship race of the 2012 FIA GT1 World Championship season. My name is Jack Nichols. I'm here in the commentary box. We've got Hayley Coxon down in the pit lane at Donington Park for the final round of this 2012 season. And what a 2012 season it has been. What a qualifying race we had yesterday as well. Such drama. The top two in the championship only separated by 3 points coming into today's race. We'll have a look at the championship in more detail in a few moments' time. There is a 15-minute delay here at Donington Park after an incident in one of the support races, and as you can see, the cars are only just making their way out onto the grid now. But it's really a fantastic place, a fantastic venue to end this 2012 season. The fans are out in force, the drivers love this Donington Park circuit, the teams love coming to Great Britain. McLaren are loving Great Britain. It's their home race, and they are on pole position in the hands of Fred Macavicki and Stef Dusseldorp. There are the Al Enkel Munich Motorsports Mercedes. The front one there, just coming through Coppice, is the car that is leading the championship. The start has been delayed by 15 minutes, so the race will get underway at, well, the formation lap will start at 5:01 local time, and then we will have our final race of the season. And what a 2012 season it's been. We started off all the way back in April at Nogaro. It looked at that point that we were going to have an Audi-dominated season with Stefano Telli and Laurens Vanthoor taking the qualifying race and the championship race victories there. McLaren had a difficult start to the season with all sorts of mechanical gremlins, but Laurens Vanthoor battling hard with his teammate Oliver Jarvis, but in the end, it was the Audis who took the win. Later that month, we were in Zolder for a very rain-affected weekend. Great battling throughout the field, and that race in the end was won after the Audis took each other out by Matt Halliday and Mike Parisi in the Porsche. They took to the top step of the podium and moved into the lead of the championship. After a difficult first two rounds, McLaren finally got their act together in Spain at Navarra. Some great work in the pits from Al Enkel, but Alvaro Parent forcing his way up the field to finish in second place because the race win was taken by Stef Dusseldorp and Fred Macavicki in a McLaren 1-2, which signified the first win for the MP412C. There were great battles further back as well. Matt Halliday taking advantage of Laurens Vanthoor's mistake there to gain up into the top five, but it was the first win of the season, first win of the career of the MP412C. Stef Dusseldorp and Fred Macavicki at the wheel. Then in June we went to the Slovakia ring for the first time. All of a sudden AF Corsa Ferrari had managed to find their pace as well. The Ford GT on the inside getting involved of Milos Pavlovic. He and the Lamborghini came together down at turn 3. The Lamborghini of Stefan Rossina being spun out at his home race. The Slovakia ring, though, was ultimately dominated by Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman. The BMW Z4 coming into its own in the hot conditions. Stef Dusseldorp was delighted with how the McLarens performed, but that little moment in the pit stops meant they couldn't take the victory. Laurens Vanthoor was sent onto the grass whilst battling with Nicky Meyer-Melnoff, but it was the other BMW that took their first win of the season, Berman and Bartels. Then on to Portugal and Portimao. There was a collision at the first corner, but really it was looking like a straightforward job for Mark Basseng and Marcus Winkelhock. We had a great battle though for the lead after the pit stops, 3 abreast down into the hairpin. In the end, Marcus Winkelhock losing out to his teammate Thomas Jaeger, who went around the outside of the 38 car, moved up into second place, and before too long set about getting past the Hexis McLaren in front, which he managed to do coming out of turn 6. Hexis were disappointed because they then lost out to Marcus Winkelhock as well in exactly the same position out of turn 6, got the better run, got the overlap, and moved up into second place. Bit of contact between Meyer-Melnoff and Vanthoor, who came together at the Slovakia ring as well, but it was a 1-2 for the Mercedes squad, and that moved them into true title contention. Then we were back at the Slovakia ring, and again there was contact for the number 1 McLaren at the first corner of Fred Macavicki. That really was one of the situations in which the McLaren struggled this season. They ran wide on the exit of the chicane as well. That sent them out of the race, much to Philippe Dumas' disappointment. And really, that was one of the manoeuvres that put them out of championship contention. Great battles as ever in GT1 throughout the order, but up at the front, Alvaro Parent ran wide, ripped off his rear splitter, but it was the V1 Racing Team BMW who won for the second time in Slovakia. Bartels and Berman holding on at the top of the championship. GT1 then went to Moscow, and what a weekend it was. Fantastic to be in Russia. The weather wasn't quite as fantastic. There were great battles though still throughout the field, as you would expect. And the wet race really was an impressive tour de force of Alvaro Parent in the number 2 Hex's McLaren. He managed to get past the Mercedes, got past his teammate as well to romp into the lead of the race. The 2 Mercedes ultimately ended up battling with each other and losing out to Tony Volander's Ferrari in the battle over 3rd place. But then Gregoire de Moustier was at the wheel of the number 2 McLaren. He got spun around, but Steph Dusseldorp had already taken the lead. The other Ferrari as well getting involved with the Mercedes of Thomas Jaeger, but it was another win for Hex's McLaren. It was exactly the weekend they needed to bring them into contention going towards the penultimate round at the Nürburgring. The first qualifying race win of the season for the Lamborghini squad saw them start on pole position. A bit of a coming together at turn 2 saw Nicky Pastorelli, Oliver Jarvis and Alvaro Parent eliminated, but the main drama came here. Fred Makovicky knocking Dominic Baumann into a spin, which meant that he would later on in the race have to serve a drive-through penalty, pretty much ending their championship chances, and then they retired later on with an electrical failure as well. The race win in the end at the Nürburgring was a hard-fought battle. Second place was hard-fought as well. Markus Winkelhock just holding on, but it was the first championship race win of the season for Ferrari, with Felipe Salaquada and Tony Volander tasting the champagne on the top step. So now here we are at Donington Park. That's how the season has progressed so far, and it's all crescendoed to here this weekend. Marc Basseng and Markus Winkelhock on top of the championship, 3 points clear of Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman in second place. Dusseldorp and Makovicky won the qualifying race yesterday, but it wasn't enough to keep them in title contention. It's all about those top 4 drivers in those top 2 cars as far as the Drivers' Championship is concerned. If all goes well, alinkle.com Munich Motorsports Mercedes should seal the team's championship today. You can see they've got a good, strong advantage, so it would take pretty much a retirement from both of their drivers and a 1-2 for Vita for 1 for the championship to go any other way than Al Inkle. So it's looking like Al Inkle will leave with 1 at least championship under their belt at the end of this season. Donington Park, a place of history. There's the Donington Park collection, which really is an impressive collection of Formula 1, Formula 2, all sorts of machinery you've got in there. There's a Williams Hall, there's a McLaren Hall as well. And I went round there a couple of weeks ago with some friends, and it really is a great experience, as is driving this Donington Park circuit. Talking to a number of the drivers, Marc Basseng, for example, never been here before until this weekend. He loves it, very flowing. Some of the tighter corners towards the end of the circuit also demand a great amount of precision. 4 kilometers long, 12 corners, and it's one of the only times this season that we can use corner names instead of corner numbers. Some of the newer circuits, of course, have been less imaginative, perhaps, with their corner naming. But here at Donington Park, we've got some classics like the Crane of Curves, the old hairpin, up towards McLean's and Coppice. It's a very exciting race circuit, and yesterday it provided us with some very exciting racing. That 25 Lamborghini we just saw took the lead of the race early on in the hands of Stefan Rossina. It's a little bit cooler than it was yesterday. The track temperature only 16.3 degrees, 14.7 degrees air temperature. There was talk of rain at 2 o'clock local time, which is about 1 hour 20 minutes away, but I've just been informed that there was spots of rain falling at turn 4, which is down at the old hairpin. There are a few brollies up in the grandstand as well. In fact, just as I'm saying this, people are getting their hoods up in the grandstand. One poor man's brolly has just blown inside out, I can see, but he sorts that out without too much problem. But the rain could well be a factor, as it was in Moscow, as it was in Slovakia, as it was in Zolder and Nogaro. It's been a very rainy season, and it's provided us with some real entertainment. There you can see brolly's up. That's, I think, up on the hill overlooking the old hairpin down at turn 4, so that's going to be an interesting one. There, 12th place on the grid then is Felipe Salaquada. He will be starting that car after he beached it in the gravel yesterday, causing he and Marco Chiocci's retirement, because the grid is decided from the results of yesterday's qualifying race. And it looks as though, well, there you can see the wet tyres on the side of the car. It has been declared a wet race. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to start on the wet tyres. It just means that you can if you wish to. Here's the number 3 AF Corsa Ferrari then this weekend, as I say. Tony Vallanda not here. Marco Ciocci will be starting, or will be pairing Felipe Salaquada in that number 3 AF Corsa Ferrari. They took their first championship race win last time out at the Nürburgring only 1 week ago. It feels a lot longer ago than that, but only 1 week ago we were at the Nürburgring, and the number 3 AF Corsa Ferrari took the victory in the championship race. Very different story here though, starting at the very back of the grid. There's the 33 Audi. Oliver Jarvis will start that car after he put it in the gravel after the pit stops yesterday. So we've got 2 gravel day trippers at the back of the grid. Oliver Jarvis said he's watched it a few times on the video and he really has no idea what happened. He thought the tyres were up to temperature. He came into this chicane here. For some reason, the car just flicked out of his control. And he ended up in the gravel to the right-hand side of that camera shot. Jarvis will be looking for more pace in this race. They were second quickest in warm-up this morning. 1 minute 28.6 for Oliver Jarvis, so there's definitely the chance of them making some progress. Overtaking here is difficult, but not impossible, as we saw yesterday. The big drama of yesterday's qualifying race, if you didn't see it, was a collision between Michael Bartels, the second place man in the championship, and Nicky Pastorelli. Bartels then had to come in, pit for a new front left tyre, and as a result, he will be starting in 9th position on the grid, with his championship rivals in 5th place. Only 3 points separating them, don't forget. What a race this is going to be. There's all sorts of permutations and combinations, so it's not really worth going through them because they're so tight, and because they're starting in 5th and 9th places, anything could happen. I don't think that the 38 car of Basseng and Winkelhock has the pace to win this race. We'll wait and see, of course, but that would be my prediction. There's Oliver Jarvis, having brought the car round to the grid. Parked it up. 6th row in 11th place in the Audi R8 LMS. As we saw in that season review a few moments ago, it was such a great start to the season for the Audis, but they haven't been able to get it together since then. They've had some solid results. They do have a chance to take second place in the championship away from Vita41 Racing Team. But from 11th place on the grid, it's going to be a challenge. We'll keep you up to date with that as the race progresses as well, of course. And let's have a look at this Audi R8. Started the season so strongly. They were quick in Zolder as well, but misplayed the tyre strategy when the rain came down. 560 brake horsepower in the Audi, so it's pretty strong in a straight line. And it's going to be a very interesting race. Let's hear from Christopher Tate, shall we? Managing Director of Donington. He's on the grid with Haley alongside Stefan Rattel.
Just a dribble of rain.
Christopher, it's great to have a British round and to obviously bring the World Championship to Donington. How is it for you having us here?
Well, we're delighted. Yes, able to, as it were, help out at the last minute. But this is a great venue for sports cars. Always has been. We're very keen to have top-level international racing here, and we were delighted that Stefan asked us.
And Stefan, the final championship race of the World Championship. Who do you think is going to take the title this year?
I have no idea, and that's why it's a great championship, because we had an amazingly disputed season. Last race, race of yesterday, was amazing, with a very hard fought between the two leaders of the championship. We'll see, we'll really see, and it has been a difficult season. The World Championship has been very European at the end, but we're glad we respected our commitment to all the teams, to all the drivers, to the sponsors, and we look forward. It might not be an official FIA World Championship, but next year it will continue. Sprint series, full out, same excitement, most of the same team. I hope a number of others, and we're all very motivated.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Stefan Rattel, CEO of SRO Motorsports Group, the promoters of the FIA GT1 World Championship. For this race at least. There is number 10, Laurent Groppi, starting that Ford GT. They had problems in the warm-up, broke down out on the circuit, but it's great to see that they've got the car repaired in time for the race. An up and down season for Ford. They started the season well off the pace, had a mid-season crescendo, leading a couple of races at Navarra, getting involved in the mix as well at the the Slovakia ring back in June, but then the remainder of the season has become a little more difficult as well. But in the end, it's still been a successful year for the Ford GT, showing that it may be one of the oldest cars out there, but it's still a very, very quick piece of machinery. And here you can see it, one of the lowest lying cars, but one of the most powerful as well. V8 supercharged engine there, producing 550 brake horsepower. And as I say, it's been a mixed season for them, but they'll be hoping to end it on a high. Laurent Grospi and Benjamin Lariche driving that car. Laurent Grospi, the 2010 French GT champion, so he certainly knows his way around a GT car. His first trip to Donington Park, though, same for Benjamin Lariche, so they've been struggling to get up to grips, really, because we have some people, there is Laurent Grospi getting ready, we have some drivers out here who are massively experienced at Donington. The likes of Peter Cox, who competed for 3 years in the British Touring Car Championship. The likes of Alvaro Parent, who won here in British Formula 3 and World Series by Renault. There you can see the formation. That will be at 12:55, which is 9 minutes from now. Not long to wait until this final race of the season gets underway. And I'm very excited. What a storming race this is going to be. An all-out battle for the championship between the two German brands. And there, with the windscreen wipers on, is the second-place car in the championship. Michael Bartels will start, the number 18 V1 Racing Team BMW. You can see the rain coming down. You can see the rain coming down on the camera lens. So the choice is going to be what tyres do they go with. It's not going to be a wet track just yet, but if the rain comes down harder, it may get a little bit more. Not quite sure who that chap is. But, Camel by the looks of things. Not quite sure what the significance of that is, but we'll wait and see. Marcus Winkelhock to the right-hand side there. That's interesting. Marcus Winkelhock is standing right by the number 18 BMW, just to the right-hand side of this camera shot. I think I spotted Marcus Winkelhock having a little snoop around, just watching as the number 18 car gets prepared. There he is, look. He's doing a little interview there with Ian Titchmarsh for the circuit PA. That's a very interesting ploy, perhaps just making sure that the BMW is going to start on slicks. There's no real option than to start on slick tyres at the moment. And Michael Bartels getting ready then. What a interesting race this is going to be for him. He's very confident, is Bartels, even though he's 3 points behind. He's going to say it's difficult, but he's got a lot lighter feel to his gestures, and as a result is the more relaxed of him and Basseng, as you'd imagine, because he's the underdog. He's the man who has to come from behind to take the championship win. Basseng and Winkelhock very much the favourites, whereas Bartels and Berman are less so. There's only 3 points in it, though. And we can now hear from Hjalmar Berman. He'll be taking over the 18 car. He's with Haley Coxon.
Hjalmar, despite the bad luck he had in qualifying race, the BMW has been performing well here, so it's looking positive trying to move you away from the back of the grid.
Yes, definitely. I mean, we had good pace yesterday. We're confident today. We're just going to give maximum attack. It's the last race, and we do everything we can to get on the top of the championship. Even though if the McLaren wins, we'd have to score at least an 8th place to stay second in the championship. But, I mean, we just go for the championship and maximum attack.
Thank you.
Hjalmar Berman there talking about the championship as far as the teams are concerned, because that is an important thing for V1. It's very important for them to take the teams, to take second place in the teams championship. As I say, the title is still possible in the teams championship, but it is very unlikely considering the advantage that they have. Now we can hear from Marcus Winkelhock. He'll be up against Hjalmar Berman in the final stages of this race.
Mark, maximum attack here today for both titles, drivers and teams for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have to finish in front of the BMW, then we know that we are champion. But you know, the race is long; there can happen many things. The pit stops have to work out in a good way, and yeah, let's just hope that we have luck in the race. Car should be competitive. I hope that it stays dry, and then we will see. Yeah.
We saw you down at the BMWs. Were you checking out the competition, or is there something in particular you were looking at?
Yeah, it's just nothing special. I just was looking what they are doing. But yeah, at the end, you know, we are fighting on the racetrack. beside the race track we are friends, and so I hope for a fair enough race, and then I hope that the quicker will win.
Thank you.
Good work from Winkelhock. There you can see Nicky Meyer-Melnoff being given some words of encouragement. He's going to be starting in 8th place on the grid. And it's going to be a really interesting end to the season. Michael Bartel's chatting to him in the garage earlier, and he was saying Mercedes did very well yesterday. The Al Inkel squad played it beautifully with the swapping of positions between their two cars to use the 37 car as a buffer to the 38 car. There's Enzo Eid, ready to go in the AF Corsa Ferrari. Him and Francesco Castellacci enjoying a nice pizza in the hotel last night, as is the only option really with an Italian squad. And there's Nicky Pastorelli at the wheel of the 37 Al Inkel Munich Motorsports Mercedes, and this could be the car that is crowned both drivers and teams champion of 2012. The Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG, a really impressive piece of machinery with its 500 brake horsepower V8 engine. It's the heaviest car out there, and as a result really struggles down at the bottom of the hill through the right-hander at the old hairpin. But around the kind of faster corners, the likes of McLean's and Coppice, it is a little stronger. There are our championship leaders. Marc Basseng at the wheel. He's been very nervous, very stressed all weekend as Marc Basseng, because it all comes down to this. Him and Winkelhock were in contention last year for the championship, but it didn't quite work out for them there. Will it work out for them today? Let's hear now from Peter Cox. He's going to be starting 4th on the grid.
Peter, we're certainly looking forward to watching you guys battle it out of that first corner.
Yeah, for sure, and looks like the weather prediction is quite exciting also. Normally it's nicer when you sit in front of TV and you see a grid and you think, oh, this is going to be great. Now I'm sitting in the car myself, so we will see how it goes, but I think we have a strong package, and I hope to have a better result than yesterday, sorry.
Thank you.
Tense mix-up aside, Peter Cox is spot on. We are looking at this on the TV screens and thinking this is going to be fantastic. The Lamborghini was a very impressive package yesterday. Stefan Rossina leading for the early part of the race. In the end, they were usurped at the pit stops by the McLarens. So it will be Fred Makovicky and Steph Dusseldorp on pole position. Laurens Vanthoor starting the 32 Audi, 2nd place on the grid. There's Alvaro Parent. He's going to be one to watch out for as well, because he's going to be starting 3rd place on the grid. As I mentioned, in 2004 in British Formula 3, he won the opening race of the season here. He also won here in World Series by Renault. Didn't compete in the year he won the 2005 British F3 Championship, but still managed to win the championship despite missing the first and last rounds of the season. But the McLaren MP4 12C has proven itself a very strong GT car in what is its first full season of racing with its 3.8 litre V8 engine. And there's our front row Audi R8. Laurens Vanthoor at the wheel. He's going to be joined this weekend by Adam Carroll, another driver with plenty of experience here, but less experience in GT racing. Adam Carroll, yesterday in the qualifying race, was competing in his 2nd GT race. Entered Blancpain Endurance Series at Silverstone a few months ago, but he acquitted himself very well. And Laurens Vanthoor looking ahead. He will be on the outside line down to the first corner, because on the inside will be the pole position number 1 car. Fred Makovicky at the wheel. Steph Dusseldorp will take over. And the engines get fired up. And that number 1 Hexus McLaren was in with a shot of winning the championship until yesterday. They did all they could yesterday, winning the qualifying race, but things didn't go their way. So the 1-minute board goes up. Everyone leaves the grid. Stefan Rattel watches on as the final round of his GT1 World Championship is about to get underway. Michael Bartels looking for his 5th FIA GT crown. He was FIA GT champion in 2006, 2008, 2009. He was the FIA GT1 World Champion in 2010. And he wants another crown to add to that already very, very impressive CV. For Mark Basseng and Marcus Winkelhock, they're looking for their first win in FIA GT Championship-wise. It would also be the first championship win for as far as the team's championship is concerned for Mercedes. So let's have a look at the grid. The focus has been on the back rows with the championship challengers, but we've got McLaren and Audi on the front row, Makavicki and Laurens Vanthoor. Then it's McLaren and Lamborghini on the second row. Row 3 is the pair of Mercedes. Then we've got in 9th position the championship challenger, Michael Bartels. He needs to get in front of the number 38 Mercedes if he's to win the title. And then Jarvis and Salaquada on the 6th row of the grid. So the Mercedes in P5 and P6. Basseng and Pastorelli. There's Jelmer Berman. Looking nervous. The start of the race is always the most dangerous part. This is where you don't want to get involved in an incident. We saw at the final round of the 2011 championship in San Luis in Argentina the drama that can unfold. A huge start line accident there sent championship challengers, as far as the team's title was concerned, spiralling out of the race and into the wall. Hopefully we won't get that here. We want a nice clean start and then an absolutely mega race to end this FIA GT1 World Championship. The leading car will take them down through the Fogarty S's, and they will form up in 2x2 formation just before they get to Goddard's. Rolling start. We'll see the race get underway. Fred Makavicki should be strong off the start. The BMWs struggle off the start. That's their biggest concern. Nicky Meyer-Melnoff and Michael Bartels in 8th and 9th positions on the grid may end up being a bit of a moving roadblock because the BMW takes a while to get its power in. Winkelhock looking fairly relaxed. Jelmer Berman less so. Matthias Ladder always looks relaxed. This is where we saw a lot of overtaking yesterday. The windscreen wipers are going. They're all going to be on slick tyres because we haven't had anywhere near enough rain to necessitate wets. The wet race has been declared, so they can come in and pit for wet tyres anytime they want. There will be a pit stop window between 25 minutes and 35 minutes. But this is it. This is the end of the 2012 FIA GT1 World Championship. It's BMW versus Mercedes for both championships. This is the rear view from the 38 car of Mark Basseng. It's Makavicki on pole in the McLaren. It's Vanthoor alongside him in the Audi. The race goes green. Basseng immediately looks to the inside, but his route is blocked off by Perrin. Storming start from Peter Cox, looking to the inside on the run down into the red gate. And the McLaren leads of Makavicki. Cox might be able to get up into second place. Our championship leaders are pushed a little bit wide on the exit of the first corner. And it's a spin. Off goes the Ford GT. Off goes the 17 BMW. That has pretty much put an end to their championship hopes as far as the teams are concerned. So Laurent Groppi and Nicky Meyer-Melnoff out of the race. But crucially, Mark Basseng is ahead. Our cameraman down there is okay. The safety car has been deployed. The cameraman filming down there where the incident happened is okay. We are very pleased to inform you Nicky Meyer-Melnoff is out of the car as well. But the safety car deployed then. It looked as though Nicky Meyer-Melnoff got wide coming out of Redgate corner. As he came back onto the circuit, he collected the Ford GT and he and Groppi went straight to the barriers. There's Marcel getting ready to lead the field around in the safety car. This could be a fairly long safety car period. There you can see the cameraman. And, well, his camera's still not working quite as you'd want, as you'd expect after a shunt of that size, because with this rain, the grass is going to be very slippery indeed, so hardly any speed would have been lost. You can see the medical car going around just to check everything's okay. Fred Makavicki then it is who leads. There you can see the cameraman on the right-hand side, absolutely fine. And here's a look at the replay. So if you look in the very background, the Ford has gone wide. The BMW has gone wider, though. And then the BMW loses it as he comes back onto the track. Meyer-Melnoff loses it, collects the Ford. And And that's not a slow speed impact. Straight into the barriers for Laurent Groppi in the Ford. And as we say, the cameraman is okay. The Ford's wheel looked broken before it hit the wall, but of course he did have pretty heavy contact with the BMW that caused the collision. So hopefully it won't take too long to rebuild this tyre barrier. Here's another look at it. See at the back of the field, off they go to the right hand side. It's a heavy frontal impact for Laurent Groppi. The cameraman actually legging it out of the way, so good reactions from him. That's why we have the safety car period here. Groppi out of the car as well. That's good to see. Both drivers there out of the car. And what a dramatic start to the final race of this dramatic season. Here's a look at the first corner. You'll see the 17 BMW going out wide, very, very wide indeed. And as he comes back on, he'll lose the back end. There goes Meyer-Melnoff as he comes back on, spears across and smashes in to the side of the Ford GT. That's why the left rear was broken. The marshals see it coming and step back. It is quite a heavy impact for Laurent Groppi. It's such a shame. And the red flag has gone out, I believe. By the looks of it, yeah, there is the red flag. The timing screens suggested it, so the clock has stopped. That is a site of some considerable wreckage down here on the exit of Hollywood. So the cars will head back around to the start line where they will line up in their current order. The big winner then was Peter Cox, moving from 4th to 2nd. He got a very good start. Pastorelli is in front of Basseng. So Basseng dropped from 5th to 6th. In fact, Pastorelli got past the number 2 Hexus McLaren as well. And there you can see the cars making their way back onto the grid then. They will line up in their order on the start line. Well, they put them straight into grid positions, I imagine, because we didn't have one racing lap completed. They'll be put straight back into their original grid positions and we'll have a fresh restart. That would be my prediction, but the clock has stopped, so perhaps they will line up in the order in which the race was resumed. No, I can see a marshal down there with the starting grid in his hands. Yes, so well, yes, they're going to go in original grid order. So there you can see the 32 Audi of Laurens Vanthoor squeezing into 2nd place on the grid, so it'll be a completely fresh restart. Let's hear from Benjamin Lariche. It was his teammate Laurent Groppi who just crashed out of the race.
Benjamin, first of all, is Laurent okay?
Yeah, Laurent is okay. He told to Johan he's okay, so it's essential.
The Ford GT's not had the best of luck this season, has it? And it's certainly not a good end for it in the World Championship.
Yeah, it was difficult. We had some difficulty with the tires, with the setup, but no, it's a sad end of the season. We'll see next year.
Thank you.
Good to hear from Benjamin Lariche. There is the car he was meant to be taking over. And an unfortunate end to that Ford GT season. Well, I was saying before on the grid, wasn't I, that it had had an up and down season. Started off poorly, had a good strong crescendo in the middle, and really this signifies the poor end. Now the main concern here obviously is that everyone is okay, and everyone seems to be okay, but then let's call it the secondary concern is the Armco barrier. The drivers are in the Donington Park course car, or medical car I should say. They'll be taken to the medical centre just for a routine checkup. But the main concern as far as how long it'll be before racing gets back underway is whether the Armco barrier was damaged, because we saw in qualifying for the Nürburgring race when some of the Armco got, well, there's a concrete wall there, isn't there? So if it's a concrete wall behind the tyre barriers to the right hand side here, then we should be all right. If it's Armco barrier, then it may need rebuilding. There you can see the Ford GT, Ollie, and is that Bernard Cottrell down there as well? Bernard Cottrell, the local race director, on the left, Ollie, the GT1 man, on the right. And if we could, I think it's concrete wall down there, because if that's the case, then that won't need rebuilding. If it's Armco barrier, then that kind of impact will have pushed it back. So as I say, if it's concrete, they can just pop the tyres back into place. Most of the area around here at Donington Park is concrete with tyres in front of it. There is still the recovery job to do. Here's a replay of the start. Watch the Lamborghini slice past Alvaro Parente. Now, how does Nicky Pastorelli make up his positions? He's in that Mercedes on the outside line with the yellow trim. Let's watch out for him, shall we? Because he's behind Alvaro Parente at the moment. Does he just do him around the outside? And I don't quite know how he gets through, because he ends up being sent out wide. That's interesting. They just about keep it all together, and there is the contact, and yeah, it is concrete walls over there, so we won't have any Armco barrier to replace. And off they go into the tyre barriers. So here we see it again, a very, very high-speed shunt. When the cameraman legged it, all credit to him, he left it pointing exactly at the incident. And, well, I said in San Luis at the end of last year we had a dramatic first lap shunt. Exactly the same this season. It's a real unfortunate way to end the season. No one likes to see accidents like that, of course. Great news though that the drivers are okay. The driving standards in GT1 this year have been absolutely exemplary, I think it's fair to say. A few bumps here and there, but on the whole it's been very, very strong. Winkelhock's still looking relaxed. Now, the interesting thing is, will this take us closer to the predicted rain? That could be quite interesting. I believe what I'm hearing is that the race will restart behind the safety car in the order that the cars are in now on the grid. That's the message that I've been given. We'll obviously confirm nearer to the time of the restart whether that's exactly what's going to happen. But it'll be, I believe, a safety car restart before in original grid order, which is an interesting decision, possibly with leaving the clock where it is at 56:55. So we've heard from Benjamin Lariche, his teammate out of the race. Matthias Lauda had his teammate retire as well.
Matthias, first of all, is Nicky okay, and what are your views on the accident?
I think it's okay. He's not back yet, but it looks like he should be okay. It's a shame that we lose the car in the first corner because it's a long race, and I'm a bit disappointed because I was sure we could do a good race. In the final race, to crash out in the first lap, in the first corner, it's always stupid, but that's how it is. Thank God he's fine, but yeah, the race is finished.
Thank you.
So Matthias Lauda, very disappointed not to get his drive, as you can imagine, and equally, that's not good news for the team's championship, because that very distressed Matthias Lauda, actually. Very disappointed that is how his championship has ended. And he can see it at full speed going down into the first corner. There's the 17 car going out wide there. And as he comes back on, loses the back end and collects Laurent Groppi. Actually, I don't think he hit the tyre barriers, did he? He went straight into the wall, I think. But there's the collision again. It's good to see both drivers okay after this incident. Yeah, you can see there, Lauda doesn't actually collect the tyre barrier. He manages to get the part of the concrete wall just before. Fred Makovicky, though, comfortably leading the way. So hopefully it won't be too long before this final championship race of the season gets back underway. Let us not forget we've still got the championship to be settled. This hasn't helped Vita One in terms of the team's championship, because they have only got a slender advantage over the Belgian Audi club, some 18 points. So that is a with Vanthor in third place, that is certainly a gap that could be overhauled. So this will obviously have a knock-on effect for the rest of the day, but we're of course focusing on FIA GT1, the cars up on the jacks. They won't be allowed to, unless the rain comes down, they won't be allowed to change the tyres, but they had so few racing laps that it won't really be an issue. Lawrence Vanthor there. lost out from second place, dropping to third at the first corner after that brilliant start from Peter Cox. They're just talking about how the accident unfolded by the looks of things. Van Thor then will be happy to be starting in second place if that is what happens. And you can see quite a crowd has gathered down there on the exit. There you can see it is the concrete wall that has been hit. Hopefully that wouldn't be too badly damaged. So let's hear from Peter Cox. He made a mega start up to second place. He's with Haley.
Peter, it's not exactly the start of the final race that we wanted, but hopefully we'll be underway soon.
Well, for me it was. I gained 2 positions and I had a good start, and I want to see what the race director is doing, because we have talked about the start so many times, and the number 2 car that was alongside me clearly was almost in the back from Makowicki, and we have agreed that we have a gap. So okay, I had in the end a better start, but it's not correct, so I want to see how it goes. But for sure, for the championship and for the spectators, it's not very nice, but for me now it's also not nice because I was in a good position.
Thank you, Peter.
Pretty much every day in the driver briefing, we have the discussion about the starts and how far behind should they be, how far in front should they be, how far alongside should they be, and it's always a difficult decision in a rolling start. The drivers actually, for the future, saying that GTs should be standing start races, which could be interesting, especially it makes sense, I suppose, in a single class GT race. I suppose if you've got different classes within GT competition, then it probably is a bit unfair to have a standing start. But in a race like this, it probably would work out okay because all of these cars are in similar specification. Let's hear from Fred Makowicki then, pole position man.
Fred, not quite the start that you wanted, but the McLaren hopefully will still be strong here.
Yeah, we know that we are strong here, and just we must be a little bit careful at the beginning, especially in the first lap, because when it starts to rain, the track is really slippery, and I don't want to do a mistake because it's really easy. And I know that after 2 or 3 laps, when the car is at 100%, we can be really strong and push at the maximum.
Thank you.
Good to hear from Fred Makowicki then, feeling fairly relaxed. The race will be resumed in approximately 15 minutes. That message came through a couple of minutes ago now, whilst we were talking to Peter Cox, so I'm guessing about 25 past 1 the race will be resumed, would be my prediction. And I think, looking from the timing screens and things like that and the information I'm being fed, I think the race will restart with the current clock position of 57 minutes. The safety car will pull away, the 57 minutes will start ticking, and then at the end of that first lap, the safety car will pull in, but we'll wait for official confirmation. Laurens van Thorlen, let's hear from him. He lost out at the start of the first race.
Lawrence, your thoughts on the crash?
Well, I obviously didn't see it. It happened behind me. We passed one time when we had already the safety car, and it seemed quite a big impact, but we couldn't really see it from the car, of course. So I have no real idea what happened. The team explained me a little bit, but I have to see it on the TV.
A good result is certainly looking like it could be for yourself and Adam with your performance yesterday. So are you feeling confident?
Yeah, yesterday we found out that we had, after a couple of laps, a slow puncher on the front. So that's why maybe we lost some performance, because in the beginning we were quite good compared to the McLaren. So let's see today. It's very cold, it's cloudy, it's raining a little bit. It's difficult to get the tires on temperature. So yeah, only thing we can do is do our best and hope for some luck and a good result.
Thank you.
Just like Belgium, isn't it, Laurens? With those kind of weather conditions. And there is Frank Stippler coming to have a chat. Both of the cars have now been recovered, as you can see, taking them back to the pit lane, and they'll be put straight on the truck. Here's a look at it again then. Down into turn 1, Peter Cox got the inside line, almost managed to make a look for the lead going into Redgate, and then we're going to see again Nicky Meyer-Manhoff going out wide. It looked initially as though it was Bartels who was going to go wide. This worked out reasonably well for Bartels because they'll be back onto their original starting positions. There goes Meyer-Manhoff out of control. The collision sending them both one into the tyre barriers, one into the wall. And for Meyer-Manhoff it was a rear impact, which was good, because if that had been a front impact into the concrete wall, that could have been a little more painful for the Austrian. There they come again, off to the right hand side. again, Laurent Groppi going in, not driver's side, so that incident not quite as bad as it possibly may have been. It was still a pretty high impact though. And the cameraman doing a good job every time to get out of the way. And we've got a new little angle on this incident. Here we go. You can see the Berger van in the background, so this is coming down into the right-hander. There is where the incident is going to be. Keep your eyes peeled to the left. There they go. And, well, same story, different angle. So now let's hear from Alvaro Parent then. He made a bit of a poor start, really. He's down with Haley Coxon.
Alvaro, we just spoke to Peter, and his view was he thought you were too close to Fred Makovici. What are your views on that?
Well, I was in the normal place, like we usually start. But if anything, it cost me positions because I went backwards, so not a great start. So if anything, I didn't gain any advantage. It was a disadvantage.
In a way, you're thankful for this restart?
Well, yeah. I don't know what's going on, which position we're doing the restart. I'm not sure what's going on yet, but yeah, no, it's good. It's good to have another start after that bad one.
And the McLarens are certainly looking fantastic here at Donington, haven't they been so far this weekend?
Yeah, exactly. We're looking competitive, so who knows? Looking forward for my stint now.
Great. Thank you.
Alvaro Parent just trying to keep a cool head. In that number 2 Hexis McLaren, nothing worse than starting the race, getting the adrenaline going, and then having to calm down again, only to get it back up. And you can see the marshals here doing a good job. The race delayed approximately 15 minutes. I think that's from the old message that we got about 6 minutes ago. So, in theory, in about 10 minutes' time, we should get the race back underway here at Donington Park. And there you can see some of the tyres being moved around. They're having to take all the tyres out and then put them back in because they all get lifted up once a car goes kind of into and underneath them. That's why you have the conveyor belts, to stop them splitting up and flying everywhere. So now let's hear from championship leader Mark Basseng. How did he see that first start? He's with Haley.
Mark, your views on the start?
My initial start was okay, but then Alvaro was not quick enough on acceleration, so I had to back off again and I went to the inside. But then I had the inside position for turn 1. Bartels came along my left side, but then it stretched out and I was behind Alvaro, then down the quick corners, but everything was super fair. Yeah, and now red flag, first time since years. So we'll see how the starting procedure will be now.
Let me ask you how your nerves are right now.
Now it's okay, but as I saw the red flag, they were tight like steel ropes, and it's a lot of pressure. Even now with 2 cars less, I mean, that makes it easier to gain points. We'll see.
Thank you.
Still not 100% confident, is he, Mark Basseng? We've just had confirmation then of how the start procedure will come. There you see Basseng dive out to try and get past Parent, but then has to tuck back inside. Let's watch Basseng's view. He's got the Ferrari coming up the inside of him as well. Manages to close him off just about. That was Enzo Eid. He had to back well out of it. And then that all ends up sending Nicky Meyer-Malnoff out wide. And really coming back from a greasy grass back onto the grippy tarmac. It's always going to be a difficult one to control. Meyer-Malnoff is out of the race. So, we've just had confirmation of the starting order. Basically, what's going to happen is the order in which they were behind the safety car will be the order in which they will restart the race behind the safety car, which, frankly, seems perfectly logical. So you can see the number 1 Hexis McLaren will be on pole position. It means they've got a little bit of rejigging to do, but essentially, well, if they'd have all... It's because we've decided to continue with the clock run down. If they'd have started, I think the marshals probably thought it would be a fresh restart after they'd only completed 1 lap of racing, but in actual fact, if they'd have all lined up in the order that they were in when the safety car, well, when the red flag was deployed, then it would have been absolutely fine. But you can see that that's not how it is. There you can see Philippe Dumas on the left-hand side, Vincent Voss on the right, just having a little chat on the grid. I don't know if it's difficult to quite tell the feelings there. It looked as though Philippe Dumas stormed off a little bit, but Dumas is a very focused individual. He may just have been walking away. Well, let's hear from him, shall we? We can hear from him now. He's down on the grid, and he's with Haley Coxon.
Philippe, we just saw you chatting to Vincent Voss. Can you tell us what you're talking about?
No, just a problem with not a problem, but with the red flag. No, just to know exactly what happened and when we can start again, and we'll see.
Do you agree with the restart?
Yeah, I think it's true, because if we have the red flag in the first lap, it's the original grid, but not now. So we'll see. I hope Alvaro will do the same show as yesterday.
And can you explain the restart with us?
Under the safety car for one lap, I think, and restart for the normal race.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Philippe Dumas confirming what we thought, that it will be behind the safety car for one lap. Safety car will peel in, and instead of a 2x2 rolling start, it'll just be a safety car restart. So it would be basically as if this, imagine this red flag period never happened, and that's exactly how the race will restart, with Fred Makovic leading, Peter Cox in second, Van Thor in third, Pastorelli in fourth, Parent in fifth, Basseng in sixth. There you can see not too much rivalry between Mercedes and BMW. Certainly between Winkelhock and that chap anyway. I think between Mercedes and BMW there's quite a bit of rivalry. Basseng was done in sixth, and Enzo Eads seventh, eighth for Oliver Jarvis, ninth for Michael Bartels. He's second to last at the end of that first lap, and 10th for Philippe Salaquada. So Bartels really has got a battle on his hands if he wants to climb up the order, but there's still 57 minutes left of this race when it gets back underway. Literally anything could happen. We saw yesterday the amount of drama in one race where the championship was swinging left to right. There you can see the tyres still being moved around by the JCB. Got some drill action going on in there as well. The British marshals, very experienced. Some of the best marshals in the world. They get flown out all around the world to train up new marshals in places like Abu Dhabi and Bahrain. So let's hear from Jelmer Berman. His car will be starting in 9th place at this safety car restart. He's with Haley.
Jelmer, unfortunately, you've lost out. How will you recover from that?
Well, I mean, difficult to say. Unfortunately, our sister car went, I'm not sure what happened, but it looked a bit like he was forced off. And then, you know, on the wet grass here in England, you're a passenger and there's nothing you can do anymore. Then he unfortunately took out or touched with the GT40, and then that was over. So now, okay, we lost out a bit, but I mean, still a very long race. Anything can happen. I mean, this changed the situation as well, because there's, you know, more pressure on the drivers. You know, the pressure is getting up until the start, and then when you have to do it basically almost all over again, it's interesting, so we'll see.
Thank you.
Jelmer looking forward to getting in the car. So let's have a look then at the a little more in detail at the points situation. The V1 racing team are 3 points behind Mark Basseng and Marcus Fingelhock. So there's a difference. If you win the race, you end up with a 7-point advantage over second place, but I don't think that's going to be the kind of position we're going to see them battling over. I think it'll be 4th downwards where the championship will be decided. I think the highest that Mark Basseng and Marcus Fingelhock could finish is in 4th place. Even if Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman finish in 4th place, you end up with 12 points. So for the win, you get 25 points. Second place, 18 points. It's just like Formula 1. Third place, 15 points. 4th place, 12 points. 5th place, 10 points. 6th place, 8 points. 7th place, 6 points. 8th place, 4 points. And 9th place, 2 points. 10th place, 1 point. That was very difficult to say. And so if I think the maximum that Berman and Bartels can achieve today, irrespective of any retirements in front or anything like that, is kind of a 4th position. And if the BMWs finish in 4th place, then they still need their rivals to finish in 6th place in order to take the title. So you can see how close it is. 3 points behind them, and they really need Bartels and Berman to finish at pretty much at least 2 positions ahead of Basseng and Winkelhock. That's basically what it boils down to. And in such a long race, it's very, very difficult to second guess what's going to happen, especially in a long race with such evenly matched cars as we've seen all season. You come into every single race weekend not really sure who's going to be strong, and then you have first practice and you think you know who's going to be strong, and then you have second practice and you have no idea, and then qualifying comes and it's a different team altogether. It really has been a fantastic season of GT racing. Whatever has happened off the track, the on-track action has been absolutely stellar. There you can see some new tyres being taken, a bit of water being spread all over the circuit. Keep an eye out for that one, chaps. Where is that? That's just coming off, isn't it, onto the start line, so that tractor's going to have to weave his way through the grid, which will be an interesting one. No, he's going to go that way. Good choice. And so they'll take some new tyres down to the old hairpin and continue to rebuild the tyre barrier. So if things stay how they are, Basseng and Winkelhock are the champions. Bartels really needs to finish. Even if Bartels and Berman gain 5 places and Basseng and Winkelhock hold position, then Basseng and Winkelhock will still be the champions of 2012. So let's hear from Enzo Eid, shall we? He had a good little start in that AF Corsa Ferrari. He's up in 7th place.
Enzo, did you get a view of the crash at the start of the race?
No, I didn't see what happened. I was in front of it, but I think they touched each other in the first corner, and it's something which can happen in this kind of racing in the first corner.
And your thoughts in your final race in the World Championship?
Yeah, I will try to push again now to get at least once a bit in front. So we will try to be a bit aggressive and try to go to the front.
Thank you.
It's a novel plan, isn't it, from Enzo Eid? Be aggressive and go to the front. And he will be taking the safety car restart in 7th place. Ollie Jarvis, didn't mention him much, but he's going to be 8th place on the restart after starting 11th. So obviously 2 of those places don't really count. The only man he's really got past in all that was Michael Bartels, our championship leaders. The wind picking up here at Donington, the clouds coming over, but still no real signs of rain. And there you can see the construction work still going on at the exit of Hollywood, not the old hairpin, of course. Happened a lot further up the hill than the old hairpin. So let's hear from Michael Bartels. He's got a lot to do from 9th place, and he's with Hayley Coxon.
Michael, it looks like you've got quite a lot of work on your hands to get yourself ahead of the race.
Yeah, was not an easy start. Was quite turbulent in the first corner. Of course, we lost now our second car, which could be in the end important if we need a car between our car and the 38. So now we have to fight alone, and we try our best. It's still a long way to go. Yeah, I think we have to do a very perfect job to win the championship.
You're the first ever world champion. So do you have a strategy on how to take the title today?
Well, I think one thing is to compete with the Mercedes and stay behind. On the other side, it's very difficult to overtake because a car has a big engine. We saw this yesterday. It was nearly impossible. They played the game quite well with the 2 cars, so perfect job. We were trying to do the same today, but this will not work anymore for the restart. So I think perfect timing on the pit stop, good pit stop, go out in front of them, have some luck that another car is in between, and maybe this could be the strategy. But most of the time it comes in a different way than you expect.
Well, despite the pressure, you certainly seem very relaxed, Michael.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
He is able to maintain very relaxed, Michael Bartels, as you'd imagine with a man of his experience. Of course, that retirement for Vita1 Racing, we've done the maths, and that means now that the 2012 FIA GT1 Teams Champions are Alinkel.com Munich Motorsports, because the Vita1 Racing team needed both cars to have strong finishes, and with only 1 car still in the race, the maximum they could get to in the total tally of points would be 223, and Al Inkle are on 237. So that means that alinkle.com, Munich Motorsports in the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG are the team's champion of the 2012 FIA GT1 World Championship. Now let's hear from Ollie Jarvis. He's got good pace in that Audi. Can he make progress?
Ollie, the R8 has certainly been looking strong around this track. How do you feel you're going to do here in this race?
Hopefully we can have a strong race. It will be very important to get a good start. I had a good start and unfortunately it got red flagged, but you know, we've got a second chance now, and I think the pace will be good, but it's going to be very difficult to overtake the Ferrari and the Mercedes in front.
Thank you.
Good to hear from Oliver Jarvis then. On the grid after a couple of years of DTM racing, he's here in FIA GT1. He's had very strong performances in single-seaters down the years. So, even if, just to confirm the Teams Championship calculations, the only people that were really in contention coming into this race were V241 Racing Team. Even if they got the 25 points for the win, their second car wouldn't score any points. And as a result, they would be on 223, with Al Inkle already on 227, as I say. And Belgian Audi Club are too far behind as well. Even if they picked up a 1-2 today, they wouldn't quite have enough points to overhaul Munich Motorsports at the top of the Teams Championship. So let's go down to Marc Bassin and let's find out his reaction. He's with Hayley Coxon.
Mark, now that the number 17 BMW is out, you cannot be beaten for that team's title.
Yeah, that's really great. I'm really happy about that for the team, for all the people who are involved in this project, for René Münich, the owner of the team. It's a great thing we achieved, and now I hope we can do also the driver's title.
Thank you. My radio's going.
So the 10-minute board has been held up. So in 10 minutes' time, this race will get back underway. We had a long delay for qualifying in the Nürburgring, as I mentioned. Now those 10 minutes could be crucial, actually, because we've got a brolly going up in the grandstand. You just saw it out the back of the shot there. Oh, it went up and then it came down, teasing us with the weather conditions out there. Nicky Pastorelli in the 37 car will be restarting in 4th place. The clouds moving along quite quickly here in the East Midlands. Here's a look at the Teams Championship then. This is, as it stands, 237 points. Even if the V241 Racing Team picked up 25 points, they would not be able to usurp Al Inkle at the top, and Belgian Audi Club as well. Even if they picked up a 1-2, they would not be able to get in front of Al Inkle either. So it's the 2012 FIA GT1 World Championship for alinkle.com. Munich Motorsports, can they make it a double championship win? That is the big question, and that's what we should be finding out in less than 10 minutes' time. Well, in about an hour's time, but in less than 10 minutes' time, the race will begin. Second is still up for grabs, very much so, especially now that Belgian Audi Club have 2 cars to the 1 car of the V241 Racing Team BMW, and especially considering they've got 1 in 3rd position as well. So Belgian Audi Club might just be able to leapfrog into 2nd place. The Audis have had pretty much the opposite season to the Ford GTs. They had a very strong start, a poor mid-season, and then have come back into strength at the end. So the marshals standing around, waiting for this race to get back underway. Still, the marshals in the exit of Hollywood very busy. There you can see up there on the right-hand side, the Orange Army getting stuck in. And it won't be too long before this race gets back underway. Now, I feel like I've been seeing that for quite a while, but we have now been given the 10-minute board a few minutes ago. And you can see it's just a case of pushing the tyre barriers back into position. So now let's hear from Nicky Pastorelli. He'll be resuming the race in 4th position, and he's with Hayley.
Nicky, how do you feel the Mercedes is going to perform here?
Good. You know, the first half lap we did, it was performing really good. Had a good start. The grip was immediately there. It's raining a little bit sometimes, which makes it very slippery out there. But, you know, that's the same for everybody, so we just do our best and see where we end up.
I'm not too sure whether Mark has passed on the message, but you are now world champions with regards to the team's title.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that was our main goal, and we achieved that. So let's hope we can make sure that Mark and Marcus win the driver's title as well today.
Thank you.
Nicky Pastorelli, very calm, very focused, because we're only going to have a few minutes before the race gets back underway. The clock will start once the safety car pulls away, with 56 minutes and 55 seconds remaining on the clock. There's the 32 Audi of Laurens Vanthoor, you can see, with the WRT squad ferreting around it. Hopefully not an issue there. They had a bit of an issue in qualifying, a bit of a fuel leak, but they managed to fix that fairly promptly. Laurens Vanthoor will be handing over to Adam Carroll. There you can see the tractor has moved away, which is always a good sign. The marshals on the right-hand side moving back down to their position a little bit further down the Craner curves. That's a very good sign as well. And there's the number 1 Hexus McLaren, Fred Makovicky. He will be leading the field away once this race restarts. And the McLaren may have a bit of pressure from Peter Cox, but we saw yesterday the McLaren was quicker than the Lamborghini when Alvaro Parent was at the wheel. Whether Fred Makovicky can repeat that feat, we'll have to wait and see. Very experienced, very fast racer is Fred Makovicky up at the front of the field. There you can see a little bit of rain on the windscreen of Marc Basseng. Not really enough to cause him too much concern, although I've just looked out the window and seen all the BMW mechanics pointing at the sky. It's going to be Fred Makovicky. 5-minute board shown. It's going to be Fred Makovicky to lead them away, and over the head goes the. Oh, go on, you can find the armhole. No, I think that's the armhole. There's the head. Oh, nearly got it. No. There we go. We're on it now, and we are now protected from the rain. All we've got to sort is the arms, unless it's one of the things that doesn't have the armholes in it, but. Needs to be careful there, because that was seriously inflating in the wind, and it may well end up blowing him away, the poor chap. But he's sorted now. He's protected from the rain. In the main grandstand over opposite from my commentary box, no one's really putting up their brollies. They are down there though at turn 4 though, so we'll have to wait and see. Philippe Salaquada will start in 10th place at this restart, and he's chatting to Hayley Coxon.
Philip, did you get a good view of the crash at the start of the race?
Yeah, we had some problem with the issue with the electronics. So today we are starting last. We have no pressure because we are not fighting for the championship. So let's see. Let's wait for the others' mistake, and let's keep forward. Hopefully we can finish on the points, good points to score.
With the changing weather conditions, I'm sure it's difficult to set the Ferrari up for the race.
Yeah, I think in the damp condition we are quite good. So looking forward, maybe for some little rain.
Okay. Thank you.
Marc Basseng was hoping for rain when I spoke to him earlier, and yesterday. In fact, all weekend he's been going on that he wants rain, but at the moment it doesn't look like he's going to need it if things go according to plan. So Salaquada prepares to take this restart. The restart will be at 13:41, so that's less than 3 minutes away now, and Fred Makovicky will take the restart. The 31-year-old from Arras in France has a very impressive GT racing career. He was the French cadet karting champion way back in 1994, and he will take the restart behind the safety car. Race winner in the French GT Championship, FIA GT3 Teams champion with Hexis Aston Martin in 2009, French Porsche Carrera Cup champion in 2010. He also was third in the championship in 2010 with Hexis Aston, so looks like he's going to pick up another third position in the GT1 World Championship to add to his collection. Last year he was very strong as well, with a couple of races in the Ford GT, picking up 2 wins along the way. He's the most winning driver. Him and Michael Bartel's joint most winning drivers in FIA GT1 World Championship history. So all the cars are on slick tyres, as you'd imagine, because it is it has been so far a dry race, but the rain is coming down a little bit now. Not massively, but you can see the wipers are on, the crowd are putting up their brollies. This could be perfect timing for some fun. There you can quite clearly see Fred Makovicky on the slick tyres. But as of yet, it's not exactly a deluge. There's going to be 2 laps behind the safety car because of the change of conditions, I would imagine. If it came down really hard, they'd allow the drivers to change onto wets, but purely on safety grounds. But as it is, the rain isn't quite coming down hard enough to affect that. So in less than a minute, the race will be back underway. The clock will start ticking. We'll have 2 laps behind the safety car, though, before the race gets underway properly. There you can see the graphic. And there you can see 2 gentlemen enjoying the racing here at Donington Park. Well, they were until the red flag came out anyway. A great location to end the season here at Donington Park. And there's a man called John, you can see. And he's going to be the man who sets them away. The 1-minute board is up. The tyre barriers are fixed on the exit of Hollywood. The engines are switched on. And Al Inkle will start this race in the knowledge that they are the 2012 FIA GT1 Teams World Champions. The engine revs rising. And the safety car will lead them away. So 2 laps behind the safety car. Fred Makovicky at the front of the field. Peter Cox in that Reiter Engineering Lamborghini is second. 3rd place for Laurens Vanthoor. The race is back underway. Marcel Leipert heads away in the safety car. And then Fred Makovicky will follow. Laurens Vanthoor in 3rd place, then in that Audi. 4th place is the Mercedes of Nicky Pastorelli. 5th position is Alvaro Parente. Expect him to go on the attack pretty quickly. 6th place is the championship leaders Marc Basseng. 7th for Enzo Ede. 8th place for 33 Oliver Jarvis. 9th place for number 18 Michael Bartels. 10th place for number 3 Felipe Salaquada. So hopefully when this race gets underway for proper, where you can see the tyre marks there from the accidents earlier, we will have an uninterrupted remainder of the race. There will be that pit stop window, don't forget. Rain keeps drizzling. In fact, I can see drizzle now out of the commentary box window. So it's getting a little bit harder. Still not absolutely tipping it down, though. It's kind of flirting with us, the rain, just giving us a little, thinking, are we going to have a wet race? And then saying, no, not yet. Stay on slick tyres, chaps. As they come up through McLean's. There is the 18 BMW. That is the car with the work to do. Jelmer Berman, well, there you can see Nicky Melmanov. Good to see him there. After his accident brought out the red flag. There you can see Jelmer Berman on the near side. It's his car with the work to do. 9th place for Bartels. They need to make up at least 5 positions, really, if Basseng and Winkelhock can maintain their position. And don't forget, Basseng and Winkelhock, although they're in 6th place, they've got one of their teammates in front of them. So effectively that's 5th place, isn't it? Because the team will play the game correctly, as you'd expect. So now we can hear, we saw him down there in the pit lane, and Nicky Melnhoff is ready to chat to Haley after his race-ending crash.
Nicky, first of all, are you okay? And give me your thoughts on what happened.
Yeah, good BMW. I'm okay. It was quite a heavy impact. From the start, I had a good getaway, and I could close up, and I was in front of the very important number 38 of Winkelhock. I was turning in, and then got a bit rough. I don't know, I got a little bit of a hit, and then was pushed a little bit wide, and then I think when I was on the grass, I maybe come back in a not so lucky angle back on the track, and yeah, unfortunately I hit the Ford, where I'm very sorry, but yeah, at the start everything is so close, and we only have to push at the start, because we know if we don't get ahead at the start we have no chance, and I wanted to help the number 18 car, but it didn't work out that well, but I'm fine, so I'm fingers crossed for the number 18 car and for Jelmer Bartels to get the title.
Thank you.
So there's the accident again. You see there is a bit of a touch between the 17 and 38 car. It looks fairly unintentional. There was still plenty of room on the outside of the circuit, so it's not as though... I think it would be harsh to claim Marc Basseng pushed Nicky Mehrmanov onto the grass, because there was still plenty of room out there. There was a bit of a touch between them, though, no doubt. But ultimately, a couple of cars went wide onto the grass, and I hate to say it, but ultimately, Mehrmanov lost control of the car as he came back onto the circuit. That's what caused him the problem. Lights out on the safety car. Racing about to get underway properly now. Fred Makovicky will take the safety car restart, as he did yesterday. The safety car comes in after a long delay here in FIA GT1. But again, the final round of the championship is underway. The lights go green. Across the line we go. And Makovicky leads. Peter Cox darts out to the inside line, but he's not close enough. Third place for Van Thorp, fourth for Passarelli, fifth for Alvaro Parent. Down through the Craner curves. And we have 52 minutes of this race remaining. In 52 minutes' time, we will know who will be the 2012 GT1 World Champions. Will it be them? Michael Bartels in the number 18 V1 Racing BMW. Or will it be them? Mark Basseng flashing through in the number 38. Alinkel.com, Munich Motorsports Mercedes. Now, how quickly will it be before Alvaro Parent is attacking the 37 Mercedes? That's going to be the interesting thing to watch out for. Parent is very strong on the brakes down into the Melbourne hairpin. Very strong through the chicane as well. Sparks flying off that Mercedes. As they come down into the hairpin now, will Parent fancy a look? Passarelli covers the inside line. Basseng's having to defend a little bit from Enzo Ede behind. And we go on board now with Mark Basseng, looking back at Enzo Ede. Into Goddard as they come. So both Mercedes under a little bit of pressure at the moment. Alvaro Parent set the fastest first sector of anyone on that last lap. Makovicky hasn't broken away from Peter Cox much. Only 0.4 of a second separating them. Passarelli definitely hasn't broken clear of Alvaro Parent in the battle over fourth place. Down through the Craners. You can see the sparks again flying up on the inside of the Mercedes. They've had to set that car up so stiff because of the extra weight that the weight makes it lean over on that front left splitter. Pretty spectacular though. Through McLean's. Into Coppice. Alvaro Parent maybe one car length behind as they exit Coppice and head out onto the Dunlop Straight, and you can see they took a different line through there. Passarelli's going to have to go defensive into the chicane surely. Parent decides to send one up the inside. Passarelli decides not to fight, and as a result he's going to let Basseng through, is he? Basseng coming up the inside now, down into the Melbourne hairpin. But watch out, because Enzo Ede's in there as well. Ede's going to try and pass them. Ede gets past them both. And the 33 Audi is in there as well as Oliver Jarvis. So Passarelli loses out a couple of places. Now up into Goddard's. That didn't quite work exactly how Mercedes would have wanted. Out onto the start-finish straight. So that means that Alvaro Parent is in fourth place. It's fifth place for Enzo Ede, sixth place for Mark Basseng. And he's going to have Oliver Jarvis all over the back of him before too long. Again, the sparks flying up from Basseng's car as he desperately tries to get the car turned in. There's the raging pack behind. If things stay like this, though, he is still the world champion. But we've got a long way to go. We've got the pit stop windows to come as well. But that little bit of team play from Nicky Passarelli didn't work out at all. And look behind Passarelli is Michael Bartels. Very much on the tail of the number 37 BMW. 37 Mercedes, sorry. It won't be enough for Bartels if he gets past Passarelli, but he needs to stay. Well, unless that was the plan. Unless the plan, I can't imagine it being the case, but unless the plan was for Passarelli to drop all the way back to be in front of Bartels, and to act as a bit of a roadblock, but I can't see why that would be a better plan than just having both cars finish as high as possible and keeping the two cars together on the circuit. I think it was a mistake, or I don't think they meant to let Enzo Eid and Oliver Jarvis pass. 48 minutes to go. The gap at the front is up to 1.2 seconds. Lawrence Vanthor's closing in on Peter Cox for second place. But look, Enzo Eid is having a very, very good run up the front. Up in fifth position. He's lapping quicker than Lawrence Vanthor in third place. So Enzo Eid very much looking quick. In fact, he's lapped a second clear than Mark Basseng. Now he's got past. Fastest lap of the race so far, Fred McAvicky on that last lap, 1 minute 28.466. Now Pastorelli might have to go defensive here because Bartels is looking at him. These two came together in the qualifying race yesterday. Down at this next corner, the Melbourne hairpin. Will Bartels fancy it again? Not this time. They need to be careful because Philippe Salaquada in the 3 Ferrari is right behind them. The last thing Bartels will want is to have another unforced pit stop, because that will put them well out of contention. Pastorelli goes a bit wide. Will give him better straight line speed though, and you can see Bartels is unable to keep with the 37 Alincourt car in front. Gap for second and third is only 0.3 of a second now, so that's a very, very close one indeed. Here's a look at it then. I think Pastorelli decides to let Basseng through. Eid says, oh hello, this looks like this could work out nicely for me. They all had to go wider, and that allowed Oliver Jarvis through as well. So I think that was opportunistic from Enzo Eid that scuppered the plans of the Alincourt squad. But this battle for second place is on. Peter Cox and Lawrence Vanthor. Fred McAvicky is away in the lead of the race. Parent behind is closing in on them as well. So this could concertina up nicely in the next few laps. 10 minutes until the pit stop window opens. Alvaro Parent is just at the fastest middle sector of anyone so far. Oliver Jarvis, I thought, might be attacking the Mercedes a little more, but he's not close enough. Goddard's. Fred McAvicky setting the fastest lap of the race again, 1 minute 28.170. Vanthor lost out a little bit on that last lap, dropping back to 0.7 of a second behind Peter Cox for second place. Alvaro Parent took half a second out of Vanthor. 5 brands in the top 6, as we've seen so often this season. So I did think Oliver Jarvis would be putting Basseng under a little more pressure than this after the pace he showed in morning warm-up. But Jarvis and a couple of the drivers saying once you get behind the Mercedes, and the Mercedes is so wide that it just acts as a brick wall almost, blocking all the air, giving you very little downforce from the admittedly limited aerodynamics that these cars have, but aerodynamics still obviously a very important part. It's not quite as important as in Formula racing, but the undertray of the cars, the front splitters, the rear wings still play an important role. Bartels going in deep into the Melbourne hairpin to try and get the better run out of the corner, but there's our race leader, Fred McAvicky. Across the line comes the number 1 Hexus McLaren. Peter Cox lost out on that last lap. Alvaro Parent in 4th place was 0.6 of a second quicker. Pastorelli seems to have held off the attack from Michael Bartels for the moment. There's Winkelhock. He'll be world champion if things stay like this. There's the sparks again from Basseng. Into the old hairpin. Oliver Jarvis following him closely, but not closely enough. Into braking for McLean's. Oh, a little feather on the throttle. You can see Oliver Jarvis closed in a little bit because Basseng had to get out of the throttle halfway through it. That's a little bit smoother on the exit of Coppice. But Jarvis nowhere near close enough to make a move. Through the fog at yeses. There you can see Bartels has dropped back now from Pastorelli in front of him. Battle for second is livening up though. Into Goddard's, and oh, Parent fancies thought he fancied to look up the inside of Vanthor there going into the final corner. Might be able to get, well no, he's lost the momentum because he had to go on the grass, but it's not going to be long before Alvaro Parent is challenging for second place. Down the crane of curves again. We've got about 6 minutes before the pit stop window opens. It'll be interesting to see what the pit stop strategy is here. I think they will pit Bartels as quickly as possible. Try and get Berman out in some clear air, because at the moment then, Bartels is how far behind his rivals? Only 3 seconds. He's only 3 seconds behind, and that is the kind of time that can easily be won in a pit stop or lost in a pit stop. Alvaro Parent looking racy. Now down into the hairpin. Will this be the chance for the McLaren? Oh, he thinks about it. Not close enough. Perhaps on the run out into Goddard's. This is where he was close last time around. They're all concertinaing up to the back of Peter Cox. Not closely enough, admittedly. Fred Makovic sets the fastest lap of the race again. A 1 minute 28.0, 7/10 of a second quicker than those behind. Oliver Jarvis gets a good run out of the final corner. Little look towards the inside at Redgate, but nowhere near close enough to make an actual move. But he is getting closer, as is Alvaro Parent. One Audi on the attack, the other on the defence. Cox has, because these two are now battling, Cox has just been able to stretch his legs a little bit. In this sector, he's managed to pull out 2/10 on Lawrence Vanthor. In the middle sector, it's another 2/10. Car 2 went wide at turn 4 and continued. It was Alvaro Parent, so well, that was this lap, but it can't have been too wide that he went. Oliver Jarvis continues to hunt down the back of Mark Basseng, and he continues to not be able to find a way past. And again, I think that could be a car that will pit very early on to try and get the jump, but then we could see a lot of early pit stops here, potentially. I think it'll be a very reactive situation, as it always is, of course. But here comes Jarvis. He's very, very close to the back of Basseng now. Basseng knows it, has to go defensive into Redgate. Look how close they are. On board we are with Mark Basseng. Down the crane of curves. So Basseng must have got a bit of a poor run out of Goddard's potentially. And as a result, is really feeling the pressure from Oliver Jarvis behind. Jarvis takes a wide line. This is the throttle this time. That's better from Basseng. Last time we were on board with him through McLean's, he had to come off the throttle halfway through the exit of the corner. And again, nice smooth throttle application. And this is pulled them away considerably from Nicky Pastorelli now. So Bassin clearly had a little more pace than his teammate. Whether that'll be different when Thomas Jaeger takes over the car, we'll wait and see. And Bassin, oh, is that a look up the inside? Yes, Jarvis sends one up the inside. Not quite close enough to get through. But now he's going to sell the dummy going into Goddard's. Very late on the brakes. And Oliver Jarvis moves through. The battle isn't over though. Side by side, these two fighting tooth and nail for P6. Bassin on the outside will try and get the cutback, but Jarvis was super late on the brakes going into the final corner. I didn't think he would get it stopped, in all honesty, but he managed to. The Mercedes have struggled with the brakes this weekend. There's Winkelhock, ready to go out and take over that 38 machine. This race could still go any way. It looks at the moment as though it is, and here comes Parent for third. Up the inside, is he going to run Vanthor out of room? He doesn't need to, because he's got enough traction in that McLaren to take third place away from the Audi of Laurens Vanthor. They're going to leave Alvaro Parent out for as long as possible, I'd imagine. Fred Makovicky has a 5-second lead up at the front of the field. Peter Cox in second, and now Alvaro Parent in third place. Vanthor down to fourth, Eden fifth. Jarvis now in sixth. And here's this real Q now battling over P6. It's where everyone wants to be at the moment. Out onto the start-finish straight. Jarvis, will he begin to pull away a little bit from Marc Bassin now? When they come around to pass the pits again, the pit stop window will be open. We're hearing from our eyes in the pit lane that Bassin will come in straight away. What pressure there must be down at Alincourt. This is the most important pit stop of the season. I hope they're not listening to me, because I've just picked it up a lot. They were probably feeling quite relaxed about it, but apologies, chaps, if you are listening. But really, this is going to be vital. If they can get out in front of Bartels and Berman, the big sticking point at the moment now is going to be the pit stops. If this race had no more pit stops left to go, I think the 38 car would be feeling fairly confident. But anything can happen in the pit stops. Vanthor out through the chicane in fourth place now. Parenta's just at the fastest middle sector of anyone again. He keeps doing that. 34.822 this time. So who is going to pit this time around? Makovicky stays out in the lead of the race. Peter Cox stays out in second place. They all stay out. In fact, they were a little bit touch and go whether they could get in, but these guys will be able to get in if they feel the desire. Only Salaquada comes in. Only Philippe Salaquada comes in. I thought Bartels would come in straight away, give the car to Jelmer Berman in some clear air, but Michael's staying out there for the moment. Very interesting decision from Vita for one. There's no real rush to bring Fred Makovicky in though, because he is absolutely commanding out the front of this race. He's now got a 6.2 second advantage over Peter Cox in second. There you can see what 6.2 seconds look like. Out goes now Marco Ciolci at the wheel of the number 3 Ferrari. Jarvis still in that 6th place. What are his lap times like? Not enough to close in on Enzo Eid. Eid's been very impressive actually. Made the step up from FIA GT3 this year, and in in general probably hasn't performed as strongly as he would have liked, but in this race particularly, he's very much on the pace. In comes Oliver Jarvis. In comes Michael Bartels. That's what we were waiting for. The GT1 Racing Team pit stop. In he comes. Now this needs to be the smoothest pit stop of the GT1 Racing Team's life. We saw all sorts of activity going on in the pit lane. The front right has changed. Jelmer Berman getting strapped into the wheel of that BMW, and how quickly can he get his tyres up to temperature? Away goes the BM. That looked like a pretty good stop. Is it going to jump the Audi? No. No, it's not. Jelmer Berman, though, if he needs to make this move very quickly. He needs to absolutely destroy Frank Stippler, and he's going to go for it into Redgate. No, he's not. This is crucial for Jelmer Berman. If he loses time behind Stippler, then he's going to be in all sorts of trouble. This could be the pit stop incident that decides the 2012 GT1 World Championship, because look at the time he's losing, having to try to get past Frank Stippler. He's going to get alongside now. He'll have the outside line through Schwarzkopf and Starkey's, but Jelmer Berman moves up past Stippler. So that's one position gained. But the key thing is when he is going to be, where he is going to be when the two Mercedes come out. More importantly, the one Mercedes. Here's the continuing battle for second. Here we go. Here we go. The Alinco squad get to work. Mark Basseng out. Marcus Winkelhock takes over. Goodness me. Goodness me, the pressure in these pit stops is immense at the best of times. But this could be the championship deciding pit stop. There's Jelmer Berman. He will have his tyres up to temperature. The rear left wheel goes on. Away goes Winkelhock. Berman comes into the final corner. Now Winkelhock is going to get out in front, but Berman's tyres will be a little more up to temperature. Crucially, the BMW holds the track position. The big losers there were Audi. After all of Oliver Jarvis's work to get out in front, he's now behind both of these cars as Frank Stippler. But can Berman close in on Marcus Winkelhock in front? Lights ablaze on the BMW. If things stay like this, Winkelhock and Basseng are world champions. You can see how much less speed Winkelhock is taking through the corners as he tries to feed heat into those tyres. Tyre warming has been the biggest problem that the Mercedes have had this season. And look at that. The BMW is closing in rapidly. Jelmer Berman, this is the on-track battle for the GT1 Drivers' World Championship. Berman gets the speed on the exit. Even if he gets past, that doesn't necessarily do it. He'll still need to make up a couple more places. Berman sends it to the outside. Winkelhock defends hard on the inside line. Berman, with the hotter tyres, tries to send it all the way around the outside. That was never going to work. Winkelhock having to defend for all his life is worth now. Berman now will get the cutback. Winkelhock holds it on the apex. Berman knows the BMW is weak in a straight line. Look at the BMW falling away. How frustrating must that be for Jelmer Berman? Up into Redgate. Oh, Berman's got the cutback into Hollywood. There's contact between the two of them, and off goes Jelmer Berman into the tyre barriers. Incredible stuff. Jelmer Berman is out of the race. Michael Bartels is furious. The two of them make contact. It's Winkelhock out of the race. It doesn't matter because Marcus Winkelhock and Mark Basseng are the 2012 Drivers' World Champions. Let's hope that Jelmer Berman is okay, though. That is the most important thing. Nicky Mermanov furious. Bartel's furious as well. Winkelhock is out as well. It's like Senna and Prost in 1990. Safety car deployed, but what drama in the final GT1 race of the season. Winkelhock is out, he's okay. He's walking straight up towards the gap between the barriers. Michael Bartel's not happy at all, storming into the Alinkel garage. Well, safety car is deployed, as I think I mentioned in all of that palaver. Winkelhock wanting to see if Hjalmar Berman is okay. And obviously that's our main concern right now, because that was a hefty contact into the barriers. There's Marc Basseng. Both teams have said this is not how they wanted the championship to end. They both wanted a fair, clean fight. There's no doubt about that. And this is not the way we wanted the championship to end, not at all. But it's the way, I'm afraid, it looks like it has ended. High drama, no denying that. Hjalmar Berman still inside the BMW. So there is still drama going on in this race, because the pit stops are still being made. Obviously our main concern is for Hjalmar Berman. Now here we go. Berman did the classic Donington manoeuvre. Outside line, cut back inside into Hollywood. Difficult, isn't it? Very, very difficult to judge what happened there. Winkelhock goes off as well. That angle doesn't quite give us the kind of the full picture, because it's so low down, that camera position, that you can't see from above exactly where Winkelhock is positioned on the circuit. From that angle it looks as though Berman moves across into Winkelhock, but the circuit bends round to the right there nevertheless. So a very difficult one to call. Not the way we wanted this championship to end. Now, up at the front, Stef Dusseldorp is leading the race. He has taken over from Fred Makovicky. Alvaro Parent is in second place, having made his pit stop. Here we go then, let's look at it again. Berman sent him to the outside. Classic cutback, and let's see how close Winkelhock is to the edge of the circuit. He is moving towards the tyre barriers. Fairly gentle hit for Winkelhock, but he is moving towards the right hand side of the circuit, but that's the way you'd expect him to move, because that's the way the corner goes. That's the way the corner goes. The corner turns round to the right hand side, and so where do you expect Winkelhock to go? He can't carry on going straight on or to the left hand side. And apologies for that particular gesture from Nicky Meyer-Melnoff. And the passion's obviously running high at this crucial stage of the championship, and those kind of gestures we don't want to see. Incident between cars 38 and 18 under investigation, of course, but the difficult thing is both of them are out of the race. Even if the only way things could change, or the only way the outcome could change, is if the stewards decide to dock points from Winkelhock and Basseng. But whether that's a possibility, we don't know. The ambulance on the way to see Hjalmar Berman. There was obviously a fairly high-speed impact there, in the same place we had the impact earlier on the very first lap with the other V1 racing car. 23 minutes to go. Dusseldorp leads then. Peter Cox is in second place. Well, Stefan Rossina is now. He's taken over. Gregoire de Moustier in third place. Adam Carroll in fourth. Francesco Castellacci in fifth. Sixth place for Thomas Jäger. Seventh for Frank Stippler. And eighth place for Marco Ciocci. Only 8 runners remaining. quite a race of attrition it's turned into at the end of this GT1 World Championship season. And the cars will now all begin to concertina up behind the safety car. Steph Dusseldorp leading the way, as I say. Fastest lap of the race so far was on that lap 11 from Fred Makovicky, 28.071. That lap probably won't be better than this race because the peak of these tyres' performance has been taken out in this lappery behind the safety car. And there you can see the Lamborghini in second place of Stefan Rossina. Marco Ciocci in the number 3 AF Corsa Ferrari, running in 8th place. Not the debut that Marco Ciocci would have wanted, as the safety car comes down into the old hairpin. 22 minutes left on the clock. Of course, we're still all waiting for the news of Hjalmar Berman. That's our main concern here. But the championship has been decided for the moment. The incident is under investigation, of course. But like I say, it's going to be a very difficult one to decide. It was a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other kind of collision, I would say, from that one limited camera angle. But I've no doubt both sides will have a different opinion. As always is the way in motor racing. So it looks as though McLaren could end this season strongly, leading the way with Steph Dusseldorp, but Stefan Rossina will no doubt be pretty racy behind. There you can see the confirmation. The incident between 13 and 18 is under investigation. "21 minutes left on the clock. We're still behind the safety car here in the FIA GT1 World Championship finale. A collision between Marcus Finkelhock and Hjalmar Berman has brought out the safety car. Finkelhock is fine, he's out of the car. We're still waiting for news on Hjalmar Berman. And well, we've already had a long delay after the incident at the start of the race. Medical team are still there working on Hjalmar Berman. As you can see, obviously a high level of safety placed on the drivers naturally. And the FIA and GT1 and Donington Park medical teams all involved down there on the exit of Hollywood. Backwards into a concrete wall is never the best place to go. Obviously our thoughts are with Hjalmar and the V1 racing team as well. Whatever you say about the particular incident, it's never nice to see this kind of situation. Through the chicane they come. 19 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock now. Good end to the season for Stefan Rossina and Peter Cox if they can see this through. I wonder what kind of pace Gregoire de Moustier will have if we get this race back underway. Texas McLaren team I can see out of the window on the pit wall, all looking out over the start-finish straight. There you can see the predicted drivers' classifications. Basseng and Vingelhock would end on top, and if this finished, Dusseldorp and Makovicky would actually be up to second place in the Drivers' Championship, with Bartels and Berman finishing in third position. Safety car descends down to the old hairpin again. And the safety car is still out, as you can see. Thomas Jaeger in 6th place, Stippler in 7th, Marco Ciocci in 8th. And you can see the number 3A, of course, a Ferrari. Dusseldorp at the head of the field, looking to pick up another win for Hexus McLaren. It will be their 3rd championship race win of the season, which would make them the most winning brand in FIA GT1 this year. Which would be a good effort for the McLaren's first season of competitive racing, first full season anyway. Made a few appearances towards the end of last year, most notably in the Blancpain Endurance Series. They had a little bit of a debut. And now they've rolled out a pretty full-on GT schedule, racing in all sorts of things. They're racing in the British GT Championship as well, that we've got coming up later here at Donington Park, as well as various European International Championships. And the MP412C really has taken over from the McLaren F1 in a very successful manner. "16 minutes to go here at the FIA GT1 season finale. If you're just joining us, we're under safety car conditions and have been for about 10 minutes or so after an incident between Marcus Fingelhock and Hjalmar Berman sent the two of them out of the race. You can see the concrete wall actually on the outside is absolutely obliterated. We'll have to get a new one of those put in. I don't know how quick of a job that'll be. But obviously our main concern at the moment is for Hjalmar Berman, because as far as I'm aware, he is still in the Beat for One racing team BMW. Marcus Fingelhock got out. He was fine. He ended up having a fairly harmless impact with the wall. See the flashing yellow lights signifying that the safety car is out, and as we've said a few times, it's really not the way we wanted this season to end. Not at all. We wanted a close championship battle, which we got. We wanted high drama, which we've got. But not the end result, not the collision. It's not what we wanted at all. 15 minutes to go. Will the race end behind the safety car potentially? It may well be the case actually that this is just a suggestion that once we pass 3/4 race distance, they may throw the red flag, depending on what the state of the wall is down there and the state, of course, of Hjalmar Berman. Made a great debut in GT1 last year, Hjalmar Berman. 1 year ago, final round of the season at San Luis in Argentina, winning for the Corvette Team X-Bank Team China squad, and has performed very, very impressively so far this season. And of course, the thoughts of everyone here at GT1 are with Hjalmar. Safety car still out there. There's Frank Stippler, 7th place currently for him. And 4th and a 7th places at the moment for Audi would give them 18 points, which would be enough to see them move into 2nd place in the team's championship if things stay like this. So Audi looking for a strong finish to the season as well. To the chicane. This is the 27th lap of the race. A large majority, probably about 10-15, have been behind the safety car. Marcel Lippert at the wheel, Very handy driver himself, driving that Mercedes-Benz safety car at quite an impressive speed. Took a few of our GT1 TV crew around the Nordschleife in that car, did Marcel, and it was a very fun experience for them. But obviously this is not quite as fun, this experience. So there is Chiocci down into the first corner. There is the red flag. The red flag has been declared here at Donington Park. The race will not be restarted, so that is the end of the FIA GT1 World Championship. What a sad, sad end to what has been a spectacular championship over the past 3 years. The roaring Maseratis of 2010. The brilliant battles between the Nissans and the Lamborghinis of 2011. And this year we've had some brilliant racing. We've seen the Hexus McLaren out there. McLaren versus Ferrari in road cars has been something to behold. And this is not the way that we wanted the season to end. The race will not be restarted as we wait for news on Jelmer Berman. There you can see Martin Whitmarsh on the left-hand side. He's come down to watch how the MP412C performs, and of course he'll be fairly happy because that gives Steph Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky the win, but I don't think anyone can be happy in these particular circumstances, as we all hope that Jelmer Berman is okay. The race will not be restarted. There is the confirmation. They come in behind the safety car. All the cars will head to the pit lane. And the cars pull in. Steph Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky take the win. There may be some discussion over the final result because of potentially they may take the result from the lap before the red flag came out. So we'll wait for confirmation of the official result. Steph Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky, now have they just been sent out the back to Parc Fermé? Looks like they have, so they're not going to be stopping here. It does seem a little uncouth to do anything else than send the cars round the back to Parc Fermé. So Jelmer Berman has been removed from his car. He is out of the car, but we need to wait for an update on his actual condition. But he's not in that BMW anymore. Here's a look at the results after 27 laps of racing. Again, these are only provisional, depending on what the stewards decide to do with the count back towards the red flag, although the red flag did come out after a safety car period, so these are probably going to be the results that stand. Makovicky and Dusseldorp taking the win, a second clear of Peter Cox and Stefan Racina, Alvaro Parent and Gregoire de Moustier in third, Van Thor and Adam Carroll in fourth position, Eden Castellacci fifth, Pastorelli and Thomas Jaeger in sixth position, seventh for Oliver Jarvis and Frank Stippler, eighth for Philippe Salaquarda and Marco Chiocci, Basseng and Winkelhock in ninth, and Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman in 10th position. So that gives Basseng and Winkelhock the Drivers' Championship provisionally at the moment. I don't think that we're going to have any formal announcement on that just yet. Here's how it will stand if everything stays how it is. Basseng and Winkelhock champions by 3 points ahead of Steph Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky. Bartels and Berman dropping to third position. Van Thor in fourth position with Ortelli in fifth. Thomas Jaeger, Nicky Pastorelli, Philippe Salaquarda in seventh. Oliver Jarvis completing the top 8. The team's championship was confirmed at the very first corner after the retirement of the 17 car of Nicky Meyer-Melnhof. It means means Alinkel.com Munich Motorsports win the championship. Hexis Racing move up into second place, with Belgian Audi Club in third. Vita for one finishing fourth place. So Hexis doing a great job to overhaul two teams in front of them and move up into second position in the championship. So Jelmer Berman, as I have mentioned, is out of the car. The medical crews in all series do extensive extrication techniques, and so they are very, very good at getting drivers out of cars. They prepare for any eventuality, and all the GT1 cars have now returned to the pit lane. So we can go down to the pit lane now to hear from Hayley Coxon. Steph Dusseldorp and Fred Macavicchia with Hayley.
Steph, a win for you, not quite the way you wanted to win, but still a great win, and almost it's been a decent season for the McLaren. It's been spectacular to see it take its first World Championship race win, and you guys have been driving it extremely well, so it's been an impressive performance by the team.
Yeah, it's an amazing year. We started really badly in the first race in Nogaro, and it's a great way to finish the season with a win. It's definitely not the win we wanted to have today. It's not a good sign to see two cars in the wall, but I'm happy we got the win. We did our best anyway. We were the best yesterday. We were the best today, I think, as well. So we deserve the win, but not the way we want.
Thank you. And Fred, you have been extremely impressive this season behind the wheel of the McLaren. How has it been for you competing in such a fantastic piece of machinery?
Sure, it's great because we finished second of the championship. We won a lot of race, but the feeling is a little bit strange because to see Jelmer in a world tire, I hope so. Everything is okay for him and he don't have a problem. And after we know that we lose, the fiability was not every time with us, and we lose maybe the championship with this. But we can to be really proud of all the work of McLaren and Hexis Racing.
Thank you.
Second in the team's championship, though, as things stand for Hexis Racing. But as I say, it's going to be an interesting situation after this race has ended. We wanted a nice, clean end on the circuit. We don't have that, unfortunately. The drivers shouting about the concern about the rain. So now there will be reconstruction work at Hollywood Corner, where the two cars went into the tyre barriers. But as I say, I will reiterate, Marcus Fingerhock climbed out of the car absolutely unaided. Jelmer Berman has now been removed from the car by the medical team and is getting the best of attention. So now let's hear from Peter Cox and Stefan Rossina, second classified finishers.
Peter, congratulations. Second place you're taking away with you this weekend. You've had great experience here at the track, and how has it been for you to take away second place in the Lamborghini here?
Yes, we are obviously delighted. You know, the last 2 weekends went really fantastic for Stefan and me, and Writer Engineering and the crew did a fantastic job at the pit stops, and that brought the difference, and we had everything correct, and then you get the result. You know, it's a very competitive series, and you have to have everything in place and everything in order, and then you do well, and we did. And with Stefan, I have a very good co-driver, very fast, and it was a shame today. Fred was too quick for me, but I'm still happy with the car I had and the result.
Thank you. And Stefan, you certainly have impressed many with your style behind the wheel of the Lamborghini. Will we see you again in the Lambo next year?
Well, hopefully. I'm trying my best, but also what I would like to say is, first of all, that I hope Jelmer is going to be fine, because it wasn't really nice what I saw. So that's the important thing. And secondly, thanks to Peter, great colleague, and hopefully we can continue also to the team. I mean, if they are happy with me, I'm happy with them, so we shall see.
Thank you.
So Stefan Rossina and Peter Cox have formed quite an impressive partnership so far this season. Gregoire de Moustier and Alvaro Parent finishing that race in third place. But a real shame to see the race red flagged before the end. Not the way we wanted this season to finish, as I've said a few times. But a 1-3 McLaren, a 1-3-4 McLaren as they come across the line. With Martin Whitmarsh here as well, that must be good news for the McLaren squad. Their first season in international motorsport has been a pretty successful one. And now we can hear from Gregoire de Moustier, Philippe Dumas and Alvaro Parent as well. They're down on the pit lane with Hayley.
Alvaro, congratulations. You take third place today. You have been extremely impressive in the McLaren. Of course, you've been with it from day one, so it must feel quite special to be taking second place in the World Championship this weekend.
Definitely, it's a special feeling, you know, and we're back on the podium. We did a great weekend of racing. Let me just say, I hope everything's all right with the accident that happened. So all the best for them. But going back to my race and Greg's and the teams, it was a great job, fantastic. Car won both races, you know. So. It was an awesome weekend, and we also went to the podium, and I overtook people. I had a lot of fun, to be honest, and it was great. A shame the second start, but it was great, and congratulations to these guys. They did a really awesome job, and we should have been world champions, really, but it didn't happen, and who knows, next year, winning championships, we'll see.
Philippe, it certainly looks like a strong relationship between Hexis and McLaren, so great hopes for next year?
Definitely strong. Again, we have up and down, new car, but we show now that we can be at the top of all the races, different plays, fast circuits, slow circuits, and no, again, it's a little bit strange. I don't like this end, but we can be very proud about what we achieved, and again, we are a family, and we push hard all the time, and our four driver did a great job, and we'll have a good party tonight, I hope, and probably next week, and etc.
And Greg, a 1-3 for the team. It's a nice way to finish off the season, isn't it?
Yeah, for me it was a very good year. I learned a lot of things with Hexis, so I'm happy with our season. I hope to have a next season as good as this one, and I'm happy with that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So a good result for Grégoire de Moustier and Alvaro Parent. Third place for them, and that's another podium finish for them. They've had a couple of 1-2s so far this season. Fred Makavicki and Steph Dusseldorp doing a great job. It's many people's belief that they are the best driver pairing in the championship, which is a fair argument. And there you can see the 38 car of Marcus Winkelhock being removed from the scene of the accident down there at Hollywood Corner, and a few bits of BMW bodywork being removed as well. As things stand, that 38 car will be the drivers and teams champions of FIA GT1 2012. So this Donington Park circuit was a great place to come for our final race weekend of the season. We've been all around the globe, not quite as globally as was initially intended, as Stéphane Roussel said before the race got underway, but we've brought the season to an end in a dramatic fashion, it has to be said. Not the way we wanted it to end at all. And it's a real shame for the championship, because it has produced some brilliant racing. Whatever has happened off the track, I said this earlier on today, whatever has happened off the track on the circuit, it has been massively entertaining. We've had wins from all sorts of different brands. We've seen Audi take a win, we've seen Porsche take a win, we've seen McLaren take a win as well, Mercedes, BMW and Ferrari all taking victories. Onto the podium then comes Steph Dusseldorp and Fred Makavicki onto the top step. Second place for Stéphane Rossina and Peter Cox. And third step on the podium going the way of Grégoire de Moustier and Alvaro Parent. Third step on the podium for Grégoire de Moustier and Alvaro Parent. And there is Bozier onto the podium as well, the Hexis chief engineer. And now the French national anthem. Stef Dusseldorp pointing to the Dutch flag on his belt. There's the marketing manager here at Donington Park, Kirk Rodwell, handing the trophies for the third place finishers Gregoire de Moustier and Alvaro Parent. Second place, Peter Cox and Stefan Rosina. Another Dutchman. Second place for Peter Cox, along with Slovakian Stefan Rosina. And then on the top step of the podium, Kirk Rodwell hands the trophies to Stef Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky. Fred Makovicky becomes the most winning driver in FIA GT1 World Championship history. And there's the award for Bautier for the Hexus McLaren squad. They claim second place in the team's championship. A championship they really should have won if it wasn't for their mechanical difficulties. And the drivers now pose for the photographs down there. And this is the final round of the 2012 GT1 World Championship, the final round of the FIA GT1 World Championship. But plans are afoot for next year. And they leave the podium, understandably, without spraying the champagne, because the race has been brought to an end because of that accident involving Jelmer Berman, who is now receiving the best medical attention available to us and to him. And after that incident with Marcus Finkelhock, not the way we wanted the championship to end, but the Alinkel.com Munich Motorsport squad are the team's champions as it stands. Marcus Finkelhock and Marc Basseng are the drivers' champions as well. Successful year for them, but I'm convinced that even they would not have wanted to win the championship in this manner. Many thanks for joining us over the last 3 years. We've had a great time bringing you the FIA GT1 World Championship. As I mentioned earlier, we've seen some brilliant action over the years. And I hope to see you again soon. Hope to be back at Donington Park soon as well, because it really was a circuit that suited these GT cars. The racing was exciting, there's no doubt about that. Overtaking was possible, and a really spectacular circuit. There you can see the pit lane, the Ford GT being wheeled back up after it picked up its damage on the first corner of the race. And there's the look down the Craner curves. Here's a look at the driver's classification, and 3 points was all that it took for Basseng and Finkelhock to be champions. Dusseldorp and Makovicky in second place. That win pulling them just ahead of Michael Bartels and Jelmer Berman. Look how close Dusseldorp and Makovicky got to the championship despite 3 rounds where they didn't pick up a single point. Lawrence Vanthor fourth, Ortelli fifth after not competing this round. Thomas Jaeger and Nicky Pastorelli in sixth place. That was enough to give the Alinkel squad the team's championship. Philippe Salaquada in seventh, Oliver Jarvis in eighth place. Even before that controversial incident between Finkelhock and Berman, Alinkel were crowned the team's champions, 247 points. They've been the mark of consistency so far this season, and as a result, they win the team's championship. Hexus Racing leaving it to the last minute to claim second place. Belgian Audi Club in third, Vita4One Racing Team fourth, and AF Corsa in fifth position. Reiter Engineering, Exim Bank Team China, and Sunred Ford GT completing our 8 teams. So, an eventful weekend here at Donington Park. Yesterday's qualifying race was spectacular and exciting. It brought the championship down to the wire today, and ultimately the tight battle for the championship ended up being just a little too tight. Finkelhock and Berman coming together. And of course, if we have any news on Jelmer Berman, we will bring it to you straight away. But as of yet, all I can tell you is that he's been removed from his BMW and is getting the best medical attention that is available to him. And so we would love to bring you news as soon as we can of Jelmer's condition. And you can see Starkey's Bridge, part of the synonymous image of Donington Park that you have in your head. That's the great thing about coming to Donington. There's the a great win for Hexus McLaren. They walk back up the pit lane towards their garage. They're right up the top end of the pit lane along with AF Corsa. The garage is going in number order. And there you can see on the infield all the construction work that began to take place when Donington Park won the rights to host the Formula One Grand Prix here. That plan eventually failed, unfortunately, and so they're now in the process of rebuilding the circuit. and things are progressing nicely. It's good to have World Championship racing back here. So, okay, so I can bring you confirmation that Hjalmar Berman, I'm delighted to tell you, is okay. He's receiving more medical attention, but the news we have been given is that Hjalmar Berman is okay, which is the news that we all wanted to hear. There's the repairs up at Hollywood. So the championship ends in not the best way. Now we can hear from Marc Basseng, team's champion, driver's champion as well, but I'm sure it wasn't the way he wanted it to end.
Mark, it's not exactly the way you wanted to take both of the titles, but you are the FIA GT1 World Champions.
Yeah, this was a tough weekend, really stressful. I'm unhappy how it ends, definitely, with the collision between Hjalmar and Marcus. But I just had 2 short replays on TV, and what I saw is that Hjalmar hit Marcus first, and Marcus reported to us that maybe something broke or his car gets unstable after the first hit, and then the second hit happened, which Hjalmar turns around and put him into the tire wall. So I think it is under investigation at the stewards, and they will find out. But in my eyes, this was unnecessary from Hjalmar to push Marcus, because he had so much grip, he could easily do the inside or take the inside line. So not good to end the championship like that.
Well, at least we do know now that Hjalmar is okay.
Yeah, I mean, that is the most important. I was really nervous about that, as Marcus told us that he's unconscious. So we hope that everything will be okay. But I mean, the nerves are now blank at the moment. Hjalmar's dad attacked Marcus at the medical center, which is absolutely unnecessary. But okay, now everybody is really up in the air, so everybody needs to calm down, and then we'll see the result.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Just for clarification on the accident there, it was Hjalmar's dad attacked Marcus at the medical centre. But yeah, we will, obviously tensions running high between the pair, and it is great news that Hjalmar is okay.
Okay. We have to we do it.
So
we have to do it. Yeah.
Marc Basseng. Well, here's a look at the incident then. Now we know that Hjalmar's okay. This is what happened. Gets the cutback coming out of the corner. There's space between them. They touch again, and off goes Hjalmar Berman into the barriers. And Marcus Winkelhock then sliding a little bit further back, and there, as we said, there is no tyre barrier there. It's just solid contact. Michael Bartels' reaction was one of anger, as you can imagine. He immediately went down to the Alinco Racing squad and told them what he thought of that, which was very unimpressed indeed. But I will reiterate that news again. The news we have is that Hjalmar Berman is okay after that championship-ending crash, and as you can see, cars coming back out onto the grid for some of the support racing that we've got here at Donington Park. Looks like the VW Cup, so that suggests that the repairs at the barriers are complete as well. So not the way we wanted this season to end. The stewards are still going to be investigating that incident, but as it stands, Michael Bartels and Marcus Winkelhock will be the 2012 FIA GT1 Drivers' World Champions. That was their aim as they came into the season. Their main aim was the Teams Championship. They sealed that up earlier on, and they have now taken the Drivers' Championship. So here's a look back at that race. Very, very enthralling. It was a good start from Fred Makovicky. There we had the collision on the first lap, an almost identical one, really. The BMW of Nicky Mermanov and the Ford of Laurent Grotby coming together. That brought out the red flag. They were both absolutely fine. Race got back underway. Fred Makovicky began to pull away. The challenge was on for second place. The Mercedes squad tried to do a little bit of team tactics, but it didn't quite work out for them. Down at the hairpin, Pastorelli tried to let Basseng through, and then Enzo Ede thought, oh, hello, I'll have some of this, and took both of them to move up into fourth position. Oliver Jarvis got involved as well, getting in front of one of the Mercedes, and then he sent one up the inside of Marc Basseng going into the final corner. And those two had quite an entertaining scrap, really. At the pit stops, Hjalmar Berman took over. He came out just behind that Audi, and really that compromised him massively. He managed to get past Stippler in the end, but if it hadn't been for those few moments, then the championship may have ended very differently indeed. Into the pits came Mark Basseng. He handed over to Marcus Winkelhock, and that allowed Winkelhock to come out in front of Hjalmar Berman, but Hjalmar Berman's tyres were already up to temperature, and as a result he was able to close in on the Mercedes very, very quickly indeed. And then we had this incident which will be synonymous with the end of the FIA GT1 World Championship. Berman getting to the inside line, the two of them coming together, very difficult to call. Berman going hard into the barriers backwards, Winkelhock going in at a little bit of a gentler pace. There were concerns about Hjalmar Berman's well-being initially. Michael Bartel's very frustrated with what had happened, but in the end we can tell you that Hjalmar Berman is okay. He's still receiving medical attention, but he is conscious, which is the best news and the only news we wanted to hear at the end of this FIA GT1 World Championship. We can now hear from Matthias Lauda of the Vita4One racing team. He's down in the garage with Haley.
Matthias, you let us know that Hjalmar is okay, which is a great thing. You've obviously had a turbulent season in the BMW, but it's definitely been great for you to be part of the World Championship. Have you enjoyed being here?
For sure, it was a good year. It was not bad. I mean, it's the first time that they race in this championship, the first time they race for this team. The team is great. We had a good car through the whole year. Just the last since Moscow, we had a bit of a down. Moscow was not a good weekend for us. Nürburgring was not too bad, was 5th place, and we wanted to score a lot of points here in the last race, and unfortunately we didn't even make the first corner, and I didn't drive my stint in the main race. It's always very bitter, and then a very hard pressure on Hjalmar. Thank God he's fine. Now he has to go to the hospital and get checked, but everybody's told me that he's okay. It's the most important thing, but yeah, for the team it's a really dark weekend. I mean, they lost 2 cars, completely destroyed. Plus they lost the championship. They arrived here, I think, as a favorite, and they go home with the 3rd place. It's really bitter. I feel really sorry for the whole team because they're working really hard through the whole year, and it's not the end what they deserve.
Will we see you again though with the team in 2013?
I hope so, yeah, I hope so. I would love to stay in the team, stay with the same car, with the BMW, and be here again, make it better than this year.
Thank you, Matthias.
Good to hear from Matthias Lauda then, son of course of Niki Lauda, and he's had a difficult season. Him and Niki Mermanov have had the pace most of the time of their teammates, but haven't been able to quite convert it into race pace. And Matthias Lauda, obviously, with the news that Hjalmar Berman is okay, looking a lot more relaxed than when we saw him earlier on. He was almost in tears after his car got taken out on the very first corner of this race. But he's looking a lot more relaxed now, and the season has come to an end. Now we've got that lovely winter that everyone in motorsport loves, where you sit around doing nothing. I'm sure Matthias will be at the gym. Perhaps it's just commentators that sit around doing nothing. But the Vita4One racing team back in the pits. There's the Ford GT under there somewhere. You can just about see the blue lining underneath, and I fear that may be the end of that Ford GT's life, because that was a fairly heavy impact backwards into the tyre barriers down there. I know forwards the Ford GT went in, didn't it? But nevertheless, a fairly heavy impact. And after a season of very few incidents and crashes, after the last couple of years that have been fairly incident-filled, it's a shame to see the championship ending in such a way. So, a good weekend at Donington Park. Doesn't end exactly how we would have wanted, but this is how the Drivers' Championship ends at the moment. The incident is under investigation. Mark Basseng and Marcus Winkelhock, 147 points. Dusseldorp and Makovicky second on 144, but that incident between Berman and Winkelhock is still under investigation. As you can, as we mentioned earlier on, Bartels and Berman finishing 3rd in the championship, but that may change. These are only provisional championship standings. Alinkel, I think, will be confirmed as the team's champions, comfortably clear of Hexis Racing in 2nd, Belgian Audi Club in 3rd place, and Vita4One Racing Team finishing in 4th position. AF Corsa, Reiter Engineering, Exim Bank Team China, and Sunred Ford GT completing our point scorers for 2012. You can see in the Alinkel garage, tensions are going to be very high in there. They'd love to be celebrating, I've no doubt. Steph Dusseldorp straight onto Twitter probably. And, oh no, he's making a call. He's making a call, that's fair enough. The season started in the first weekend of April, all the way back in Nagara. The McLaren was strong then. They had troubles though in qualifying, but in the race, Alvaro Parenta, the number 2 car there, was absolutely on it, got pushed wide, but then both had to retire with mechanical problems. The story in Nogaro was all about the Audis. A battle between Oliver Jarvis and Laurens Vanthoor saw Vanthoor take the win with Stefan Otelli. Then we headed to Belgium for the second round of the championship. There was great battling throughout in a wet, dry race. The two Audis, after finishing first and second, ended up knocking each other out in Zolder, and the win went to Mike Parisi and Matt Halliday in the Exim Team China Porsche. Then to Navarra, where we picked up our third winner in 3 races. The Al Inkle squad made a great pit stop, but it wasn't enough to stop the charge of the Hexus McLarens, who finally managed to cure their reliability problems. Alvaro Parent stormed through the field, as did Mike Parisi at times. The straight line speed in that Porsche was something else. He ended up taking advantage when Laurens Vanthoor slid wide down at turn 3, but no one could stop the Hexus McLarens. They picked up a 1-2 with Fred Makovicky and Steph Dusseldorp taking the victory ahead of Alvaro Parent and Gregoire de Moustier. Makovicky there hanging out the pit wall, delighted with that. Then we made our first visit of the season to the Slovakia ring. Ferrari looked strong early on. A little bit of rain delayed proceedings in the qualifying race, where Ferrari worked out strong, but the conditions were too warm for them. There was a spin between Stefan Rossina and Matteo Cressoni, which frustrated Alba von Turn and Taxis there. Great racing again, though, throughout the field, as we saw all season in FIA GT1. Again, the McLarens were fast. Steph Dusseldorp delighted with that move from Makovicky. But this was the first time we saw the BMWs win. The 17 BMW forced Laurens Vanthoor a little bit wide on the start-finish straight, much to his disgust, but Berman and Bartels took their first win of the 2012 season. Then it was Mercedes' turn. Basseng and Winkelhock got the jump at the start of the race. A bit of collisions further back in the field saw Frank Stippler retire with a rear left puncture. We had one of the best shots of the season. 3 abreast on the run down into turn 6. The McLaren of Steph Dusseldorp defending massively. Thomas Jaeger got around the outside of Marcus Winkelhock to move up into second place, and then promptly got past the McLaren as well to move into the lead of the race and give Jaeger and Pastorelli Mercedes' first win of the season. Basseng and Winkelhock then followed through. Winkelhock at the wheel, squeezing past on the run up into turn 7, just about ousting the McLaren from second place to give a 1-2 for the Munich Motorsports Mercedes. There was a little bit of contact between Meyer, Melnoff and Vanthoor, nothing too drastic though, and the 1-2 for Al Inkle, their only championship race victory of the season. That was a key incident. Fred Makovicky getting spun around at the first corner at our second visit to Slovakia. That affected the car, broke some of the suspension, which saw him spin off at the high-speed chicane. He had to retire from the race, lost a lot of points. Philippe Dumas was disappointed that weekend. Great battling throughout though. Oliver Jarvis there getting past Tony Verlander up into turn 8. Alvaro Parent then ran a little bit wide, ripping off the rear bodywork of that McLaren. That saw the safety car come out. Controversial safety car restart. Saw Winkelhock move into second place, but Berman and Bartels took the victory and held on to the championship lead. Then we headed to Moscow. We weren't quite expecting the monsoon conditions that greeted us, but the race win nevertheless went the way of the Hexus McLaren, Steph Dusseldorp and Fred Makovicky taking the victory. Alvaro Parent put a storming drive in, getting past Makovicky in the rain to move up into the lead before de Moustier took over. The two Mercedes were battling hard. Steph Dusseldorp in the end got past his teammate, and then Alvaro Parent was tapped into a spin by Philippe Salaquada, and then the number 4 Ferrari of Castellacci decided to send Thomas Jaeger into a spin as well. Both Ferraris received penalties, and both McLarens finished on the podium. A 1-2 again for them. Dusseldorp and Makovicky back in championship contention. But it all ran out of luck for them in the Nürburgring. They were battling hard early on. There was a collision at the first corner. Audi, Mercedes and McLaren all taken out at turn 1. Alvaro Parent and Gregoire de Moustier unable to continue. That was the moment, though, that possibly ended the number 1's championship challenge. For that contact with Dominic Baumann, Fred Makovicky was handed a drive-through penalty. They then later retired through a mechanical problem as well. Rossina was making good progress. It was a great battle into the final corner, but it was the race win for the Hexus McLaren of Dusseldorp and, for the AF Corsa Ferrari. So a brilliant season in GT1 sees a crowned champions Marcus Winkelhock and Mark Basseng. Thank you very much for joining us over the past 3 years. We'll see you soon.